Hello, everyone. Welcome to Non-Effort, the unknown Q&A roundtable special as well. We won't get into unknown spoilers until we hit it on the thing here, the bar. So until then, we're just gonna chat shit.
Oh, perfect.
And then once we get into the unknown spoilers, if you don't want to hear any spoilers about the show, then you can skedaddle. Couple other things on the bar there as well, but you can also submit some questions. I don't think the unknown Q&A portion of this is enough to fill a whole episode. It might be. Wrong. I don't know. Yeah. We can. I mean, we can probably talk about it, but
yeah.
There's so many questions.
Somebody just clip that, by the way, so just so we have that ready at any time.
Yep.
I always forget how long the intro is to this, and we were having a nice discussion about horror movies, and then I clicked the button and it's like, you have 7 seconds, and I was like, oh shit, of course. And I kind of want to just rewind to what we were saying, which was that PB...
Oh my god, Whack, that was so good.
PB, and don't say that to him, it goes to his head, he'll be in every one of his fucking shows. we gotta stop saying this to him. It's just
okay.
No. Brad has gone completely the other way on the pendulum, and now he's just outright insulting all of my impressions all the time, and I have serious anxiety.
I have to keep.
No, you're good, Whack. You're great.
I have to keep your feet on the ground.
That's me, Brad. That doesn't work on Whack. That just makes him feel like shit. Yeah.
I didn't start this. He.
Okay.
No. He did talking about.
All right.
He was doing too many impressions, and someone had to bring him down to the ground because everyone kept saying that was so good. Wait, oh, your impression of Brad is perfect. Oh, your impression of Orcish is excellent. And frankly, it was okay. It's killing him.
It's killing him.
Going into cardiac arrest.
I like how you immediately did it after I said it too, just to be like,
I feel like
true?
I feel like
true? Let me just.
I feel like I only actually did it for like a week and then didn't do it again until right now. So actually, he is making such a mountain out of it, as if I've been doing it for years. It's relentless.
Or
like I do
he just
it all the
actually
time.
has anxiety over it and still thinks about the times that you have done it, and it just ruminates up in there.
All right, well, we're not going to get into a pissing contest about who's caused who more anxiety right now.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anxiety pissing contest.
We're not getting into this. All right, I'll never say anything again. Okay. I'll never ever say anything ever again.
I would just like to point out that Brad, you are accurately represented in Farthest Frontier.
Wait, what?
The game that I was just playing.
Oh.
It's basically the sequel to Banished. I built wells just right next to people's houses. And the villager that is right next to the well refused to drink the fucking water and died from dehydration. So I named them Brad.
That's me.
Yep. Don't drink the water.
That is me.
Know the rules.
Yeah, I don't drink enough water. All right, well, what was I saying? I've forgotten now because
we were talking about horror movies and how you guys think you would be totally fine, and Mergs and I were not at all fine. Bro, it was so scary. There's one part too where like, and no spoilers, but there was some, there was like anxiety building.
What movie it
right?
was.
It does, yeah, perfect. There was anxiety moment building, and Merks with her full chest is like, we're not going to see anything this early in the movie. And then we immediately see something that scares the shit out of both of us. It was like, oh God, I can't. I'm sweating just thinking about it, bro.
Well, now that PB has spoiled the surprise guests.
Yeah. Oh, no. Was that a thing? Wait, people know she's here, right?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I have no idea.
Also, she's chilling. She's relaxing. She's not going to come work. Oh, you're going to come. Come say hi.
Give him a second, everybody. Give him a second. Hello, Mr. Giggles.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh, you can't.
I love how the closer that Mergs gets to the mic, the quieter she gets.
How is that possible? How is she getting quieter?
Quiet.
What?
Unsuspecting.
How's she doing that? It's like she's throwing her voice.
Hello?
What?
It's just the noise gate, dude. It's the noise
That
gate.
is so
Hi.
confusing to witness.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Welcome to the stream.
Can you hear them?
I can hear.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yep.
How was the trip?
It was good. I flew over Iceland. It was very beautiful. I was like, I need to go and stay here sometime. For real, for real.
More than an hour in the airport.
More than an hour in the airport. Great airport, though. Highly recommend.
I've heard
Really
only
know the
good
business.
things. I've heard only good things about Iceland.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
we
genuinely,
need to sojourn there.
we do need to sojourn there. Yeah. Yeah. Go sit on some like moss rocks and stuff.
Googling the word sojourn.
I was thinking, like a
the
hot
exact
spring.
same reaction as PB.
I
I was
have-
like, what?
What?
I'm very easily pleased, okay? How are you?
Good.
Yeah.
We're just doing a show.
Yeah, thanks for letting me ruin your show.
No, we
Become
really.
relevant.
I mean, listen. We're gonna be lucky if we get $5 for this show today. So, I think it's.
You guys
I think it's good.
won't guess what will happen when you donate $5.
What?
Billing looks like you imbeciles. It's taking off your clothes. I'm kidding. This is why I don't have a business.
No idea. How's she doing that? All this time, I thought it was Merg's microphone that was the thing that was just like so incredibly directional. It's her actual voice.
Oh, it's just the noise gate on the mic.
I have hello. Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes.
This must be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's how close you have to be to your microphone.
Yeah.
Why do you have it
Otherwise-
like that?
Otherwise, you'll hear the fans in my I don't think it picked that up.
Thank fucking God.
Otherwise, you'll hear the fans
I heard
in
fans.
my
Thank God.
something.
I said otherwise you would have heard the fans in my dying cat. So yeah. Sorry, it's how I deal with trauma.
I mean, no, not making that joke.
Anyway,
Yeah, your thing. Thanks,
Yep,
guys.
okay, love you, bye.
Bye.
She's buying slutty outfits in Final Fantasy, okay? Let her enjoy herself. I'm serious.
No, we have no
I'm joking.
doubt.
We know.
We have no
Oh,
doubt.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
just trying
yeah.
to process it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We're aware.
This is the entirety of the stream, by the way, everybody. Unless you start throwing some tips our way, this is what it is.
It's a
Thank
leap
you,
to the
Venom.
first one.
Thank you, Venom, back for the
Mhm,
25.
mhm,
Much
mhm,
appreciated. Thank you, thank you. But this is one of the ways that we help keep the lights on here at Tablestory. We pay for shows. We've got to pay for art and music and, just our general livelihood and overhead that we have at Tablestory. And this is one of the ways we do that. Just by talking your ear off about nonsense when non-effort
Mhm.
comes about. It's literally the least amount of effort we can do to ask you for money.
I think we're going up against Battlefield 6.
Oh,
Oh, no.
So
Could we have done that?
no one's here.
Here's a thought. We could play games sometime.
You can do it next week if you want because I'm not here.
Wait, you mean I could have just been like Mergs is visiting and I'm not here today?
No.
Oh,
Because you
okay.
are here.
Yep,
We
you're right.
can-
I
You're
am.
clearly in your house.
It's true. I am.
All right, don't lie then.
Well, I meant I will not be here, like at the show, because I'll be buying slutty clothes in Final Fantasy. No? Okay. All right. Where will you be, Brad?
Can't tell you that. The information is very privileged on a need to know situation.
Okay.
He's going to be buying slutty outfits with Liam in real life.
Yeah, in real life.
Well, I'm certainly not going to be in my house.
Oh, okay. Waiting for him to do a joke or something. Okay, he set it up
Brad's
like he was going to hit a punchline.
nothing in the tank today.
Yeah. What happened? Mergs came on cam.
Needs a minute to process everything.
He literally has nothing to say to that.
Thanks so much for the $15, Christine.
Woo! Wait, and I know I probably shouldn't ask, but is that Miss Plum? Does it say more than Christine?
I'm afraid that's privileged
It does.
information.
Oh, okay.
It
Is that
does
Miss
say
Plum?
more than Christine.
Hold on then. I'll be right back. I have something specifically for Christine. I shall return.
Is happening.
You'll
I
see.
don't know. This is all a fucking mystery. This is a mystery wrapped in an enigma, Brad.
I can't even imagine what she's going to come back with. It's going to be so specific. No one could ever have
I've
predicted
returned. You said we're talking about things, right? Before we talk about unknown. So I can just do this. I can just talk about this.
it. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, Christine, I got a new book. All right.
We'll see
First-
you later. Me and Mike will be back in a bit.
Impossible Creatures. It's pretty fucking good. And then also look what came. It's so pretty. Yeah, the art is fucking sick. So anyway, I'm glad I got a physical copy, and that was it. Mine just got into the bookstore. Yeah, wait, which one? The Slewfoot? And then the art in this one. I'm just trying to find a picture that's not like a huge fucking spoiler here. There's art all throughout this one, too. It's really good. Anyway, that's it.
Just talking to one person in the
Yep.
whole chat
Yep.
about the most
What's wrong with
specific
that?
thing. Oh,
Nothing wrong with that.
don't know what it is. Didn't explain nothing about it.
Nope. I mean, I don't want to explain anything. I don't want to spoil it.
What is it?
2 books for the book club. Welcome to our DMs. Yeah, exactly. Impossible Creatures is, I don't want to say anything. Just open the first page and see if it's your jam. And I have no idea what this is about. It's just what the book club picked. And it was art in it. So I got a physical copy instead of an ebook. And I'm glad I did, because look at this fucking scary carrot. What the fuck? What is that?
Slewfoot is going to be the disease that Brad finds out that he has that's causing him all of his health issues. Well, you got a case of the Slewfoot. Oh, shit.
As long as they tell me what it is. Yeah,
What
I
the
don't care.
fuck? I don't know what this is about, but I'm into it.
We'll read the back.
No, I don't want to read the back. I don't want to know anything about it. I just want to read it. I don't want to watch the trailer.
The sigh
I don't want to know
that
anything.
saw
I know.
Brad
I know.
did.
I'm
the
so
entire
listen.
upper body sigh happened.
Mergs this morning was like, I have a trailer to show you. And she was so excited about it. And I was like, I don't want to watch a trailer because it'll spoil it. I was like, we can watch the first 10 seconds and then I can tell you when I'm into and then we'll just watch the movie when it comes out. And she did the same thing. She was like, and I was like, yeah, I know. I'm awful. I'm intolerable.
Thank you, Aqua Snakes, for the 69. Toddles and Piper
Nice.
need second breakfast.
Yeah.
Leo Lurks, thank you so much for the hundo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ooh,
Shadow,
shit,
thank
Leo.
you for the hundo. Into
Jesus
the unknown.
They want me
Thank
to
you,
shut up
thank
about
you.
the books. They're like,
Yeah, it's-
please talk
exactly.
Thank you so
about
much.
please talk about Unknown.
It might be
Stop
the best
thing.
money generator we've had. It's just,
It's
to
just
get
let PD ramble and
bullshit
tell a
about
story. Oh, wow. Oh. That's fine. I feel okay about that.
Yep.
Well, it cleared the first mark, so
Brad sounds like he's just been waiting for that the
Yep.
entire time.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, Brad. What are
What do you
you
think,
reading
sorry,
right now,
for?
Brad? Why isn't it? Why isn't it-
John Gwynn something?
Wait,
Something
you are
by John
actually
Gwynn.
reading something?
So surprised.
What about? Did you finish Will of the
You
Many?
can't read?
Did you finish Will of the Many?
No,
You
I'm
didn't, you
reading
weren't
Will
into
of
it?
the
Oh,
Many,
okay.
and I'm audio booking John Gwynn.
Okay, cool. Which book? Is that the author? Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I don't know what it's called because they're all called like one word, like valor and malice and stuff. I don't know what one I'm on. But I haven't read any actual physical pages of a book in a while, and I was reading The Will of the Many. That's my physical book that I'm reading.
Yeah.
But I haven't touched it in like a month.
Yeah, it's hard.
I just don't read anymore because my
Merg's-
brain is rotted out of
yeah.
my head.
We
I
were
have to be
actually
trapped
talking
on
about
like
that
a
today.
plane or a train or something, and I'll just absolutely smash a book out. But
Yeah, but then
when I'm
if
at
you're
home,
not trapped. Yep.
I'm like, I'm not fucking reading a book.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah. We were talking about how
Way too much technology now.
Yeah, our brain is kind of like wired to, even when we're sitting down to read, we'll read like a paragraph and then we immediately are like, oh, where is new information? Where is a new change of anything? And then you kind of have to refocus and train yourself to read again.
The
Like, my
worst
attention
fucking
span is
thing I
terrible.
heard in the last couple of years was someone saying, "Oh, you didn't like reading. You've just got better stuff to escape with now."
Oh, that's not true.
It's
I
definitely
think it might
true.
be.
That's not true because you
What are you
can
talking
you
about?
can enjoy because you can enjoy reading and reading was an escape and you can also have other things that you escape with now, but because they're comparing it as if the internet or TikTok or Instagram are all on and reading a book are all on equal footing, but they're not.
I think they
Instagram,
just mean
TikTok.
for Brad.
Oh,
I
Did
don't-
you
I don't think
mean
they mean for
specifically to
everybody. I
you,
think
Brad,
they just
or-
meant for Brad.
oh,
Brad didn't like reading.
Well, I took it as I don't like reading.
yeah, but it was a general statement, right?
It was a general statement.
Yeah, which is an unfair statement to make because TikTok and Instagram, those things are programmed. They are built to grab your attention and keep it and train your brain to only like that shorthand information.
Yeah,
Books
but I
aren't that.
don't actually do a lot of TikTok time really compared to
Yeah.
like because my reading time was in the evening, and now I just watch
Yeah.
movies and TV because
Yeah,
I can. Whereas when I was a
Yeah.
child, I didn't have as many movies or TV or access to them.
yeah,
So I would read because I would just hide and read.
yeah.
And so that's kind of what I assumed. And don't even get me started on how great drugs are.
Oh boy.
You should try that. You want to escape?
Mm-hmm. I did forget to take my back pain medicine. I
That's
should
what I
maybe
meant.
do that right now.
Back pain
Mhm.
medicine, if you're on
Mhm,
any.
yep, mhm.
The unknown Q&A portion of this stream is what we sort of promised here today. Just to sort of wrap up unknown, because a lot of people had questions and they just wanted them answered. It's pretty much just a shit ton of quick fire questions though, rather than full-blown discussion exactly, but we
Mhm.
can discuss as we go along if you want.
Thank you, Anonymous, for the 20.
You can
Yeah,
also
thank you
just
so much.
ask, since this is sort of a Q&A, you don't
Yeah.
have to submit this question in the Discord. If you have a question in the chat, then just say it and we'll answer it while we're here as well.
Is that top one the one I think it is? I meant to ask you if you got it okay, but I'm assuming that you did.
Mhm.
Yeah, awesome.
So I'm just gonna hit the Discord up for all of the random questions, and then we can probably, I guess, get to any questions that you two have, and then and we'll just chat shit through it. So the first set of questions, and there was like 15 of them or something, 13 questions came in from Zephyr Snake.
Yes.
The first one says, I understand writing a general lore for a setting/place, but how do you draw from an NPC's knowledge? Hector, for example, how did you prep him? Do you write bullet points of what he knows about the place? Do you write one-liners as a script for certain answers he would give to certain questions? And let me have a look what I wrote for him. It wasn't a lot.
Question.
This is in terms of like stuff that I have like hard coded in for unknown. It was not a lot. There was not a lot of like time, and also I didn't need a lot because it was taking place inside Caspian's brain and his subconscious. So I only needed what he's really doing, where he really is, what is the lore behind him and the Nemaskaran monks, and and then everything else became part of like the theme or whatever. The first thing is that I wanted him to be, he was originally going to be a big like I was considering making him just a straight up dragon because I wanted him to be a reptile. That's the one thing I wanted him to be, was like reptilian, and I was like, no, do you know what, I think it would be better if it was tied to, because it doesn't make sense. The thing that I kept coming back to with this was, it doesn't make sense that Caspian imagines a dragon. You know, Caspian is, he's got some worldly knowledge and travel knowledge over a lot of the people in Nemaskara, but it's still not a lot. He's still like quite sheltered, and he's from an island in the middle of nowhere. So he probably doesn't have a great amount of knowledge to draw from. So, you know, at this point, I didn't know if he had ever encountered a dragon. We now know he does. So I was like, it might be better if the first person he meets, or the first people he meets, are his first family, the ship. Obviously, the first person has to be a lizard. I'm also in this, I'm approaching this like three-pronged, this story. One is what is actually happening. One is what is the allegorical theme. And one thing is like, are you going to guess it? You two have to not be able to guess it in episode 1. Viewers have to not be able to guess it in episode 1. You know, I have to make sure that it isn't guessable, but also needs to be something interesting. So I was like, well, the first thing they're going to think is like, what's going on? What is really happening? So there's shit tons of red herrings. And the first one is, it's not really a red herring, but the first thing that you think about is your lizard brain, the ancient reptilian brain. So he had to be a lizard. So I was like, okay, the first thing that Caspian would think of is his original family, the ship, the crew of the ship, and then a reptile needs to be one of the first NPCs that speaks to you. So what if it's the captain of the ship? So that was the first thing that I thought of. I know that was a long-winded answer for this, but it was this really annoyingly layered. So with
not annoyingly layered. People specifically asked for the
right,
layering
yeah. This is the thing, is a lot of the stuff in this
interesting.
is very layered because of the way that I had to present it, and it was those 3 rules, like what is actually happening, what would Caspian perceive this kind of as, and then how do I stop you from being immediately able to guess what's happening and just spoil it? Because if you guessed what was happening in episode 1, there would be no interest. It would be the most uninteresting thing for the next few episodes.
I don't know about that, but
I knew that you were probably going to guess it in the middle somewhere, and I had a hard like guarantee that you would get it on episode 5 or 6, because I wanted 7 to be you aware of where you were, and then 8 to be in the real world, real memories. So I already had it like mapped out, but I didn't want you to guess it straight away because I wanted you to want to watch more, and I wanted you two to want to play more. And I didn't want you to be able to guess it straight away because there's fun in the theory crafting and the investigation or whatever.
And that's why I don't watch trailers or read the back of the book blurb.
Yeah, I know. The So what I had written down for Hector was basically that. What is he? He's a lizard folk. He was the captain of the Tideworm, which was originally called the Surfbreaker, and then I
Ooh.
changed it to Tideworm so that it felt more like it fit with this show. And
That's
so
also a good like red herring almost, right? Because because you called it that, it let us dangle around the idea that the Leviathan or whatever is related to the ship. Like, is it a metaphor? So yeah, it's good. Sorry.
yeah. Well, also like I wasn't sure when you were going to get the information on your sheets. There was information in the like bonds and stuff as well, which, you know, one of them had the information of it being like the Tideworm or whatever. Other than that, I wrote that he has a gravelly, slightly demonic Aussie voice. And then for this character, I did hard code in some opening lines for him. I don't always script NPCs, but sometimes I'm like, I feel like you have to. I wanted him to immediately mention the witch, because the witch is a hardcore red herring in this. So the first thing he mentions is he's like, looks at you and he's like, what do we have here? Go and find the witch. We have newcomers. And then I wanted him to sort of test your mettle. The character at some point, someone I think did mention something about this. A lot of people guessed a lot of good stuff about Hector, but they were curious as to whether he was like as he seemed, and he was. The point of him is that he's practical because he's a pirate captain. He isn't evil. He is just pragmatic, and it's a tough one because it's like, how would Caspian perceive this character? How does Caspian's subconscious perceive it? And we're talking about old Caspian, wise Caspian. This is an old man now. You know, he's a really I imagine old Caspian and Old River and all of the monks, Caspian understands Hector better than Hector ever did in his life at this point, you know, because Caspian's an old man who can look back on this time and go, oh, this is what Hector was all about. This is what was going on. Yeah. So how do you...
That's kind of how I imagined him.
But how does Caspian make this version of Hector? Is this 1-1? You know, or is this a different version of him or whatever? Which is nice when you're a DM, because any little plot holes or mistakes or anything that doesn't make sense for these characters is, oh, it was a dream, you know. So it's kind of useful to have. But for him, I just sort of had down that he was very pragmatic, and that I just sort of played them like they were real for the most part. I just figured that Caspian was smart enough to create legitimately good versions of these characters. There is an element of magic to the ritual he's taking, so maybe a part of Hector does actually live within Caspian. Maybe this is what memories are. So Caspian's memory of this person, he would have been a really young boy. How much of this is actually true to Hector? I don't know. Is some of it the magic? I don't know. But I did want him to be someone who is formidable and kind of scary, but is just kind of, I played him like he sort of does. Did you hear that? Did I make that up?
Yep.
What is that? What was that notification?
We can't hear it.
That's
I know.
Just you, buddy.
I heard it, which means chat did though. Oh, it's WhatsApp. That's so weird. A WhatsApp notification.
Is showing you. Murgles is showing you slutty final.
I've never had notifications on WhatsApp. I've never heard that before. It was really confusing. So yeah, he was. So I played him like legit. I played him like he. If you were him, and every now and then these like blank people walked out and they had a handful of memories. Yeah, you guys remembered shit like bonds or whatever, but how many of these wizards walked out with Fireball at hand and were confused? didn't know where they were, didn't know what was going on, and just launched a fireball into this camp in fear. So Hector is just like, I don't fuck with any of you anymore. In order to keep myself and this crew safe, I'm not going to ask you, what do you remember? Do you have your abilities? Because you can lie. I'm going to test you straight away, because if you're under attack, the first thing you do is you fight to your strongest potential, or you reveal your true self. So that was kind of how I played Hector. He's a bastard. He's an actual pirate. He's out on the sea, you know, robbing people, but he is an evil. He is, however, a reptile, and he was sort of an allegory for the ancient reptilian brain in which I did a little look at Disco Elysium for this with the opening monologue. I looked at it, and for this I wanted him to be that kind of same presence at first. Then I made him more of a real character, and I wanted him to just be lizard brain, because that's the first port of call for memory in your own brain, right? Everyone went down this like crazy rabbit hole about a lot of the theory crafting. A lot of the theory crafting early on was like they're moving through different parts of the brain via like synapses and stuff, which would have been absolutely dope, but sick. I'm way too dumb for that. That's like, I appreciate that you think I'm capable of it. It was not my intention. I did not look into that at all.
It doesn't matter.
Devastation.
It doesn't matter if you didn't do that. You still, the process that you're describing for the way that you came up with the story is creative and beautiful in its own right. Okay? The fact that you linked up Hector with lizard brain, and it's the first thing that we ran into, just that little snippet is incredibly clever. So please do not fucking trash yourself in any way for this.
Are you okay, Brad? He just like fully attacked you just now.
It's because I opened up the show by attacking him, and he's been waiting.
And now he's attacking you with love.
So yeah, like that. So to like Hector in particular did have bullet points. In terms of what characters knew what about the place, the only characters that know anything about the place are Meridia, Caspian, and River, because they're real, quote unquote real. The memory of Meridia in Caspian has been passed down through River. The memory of River is in Caspian because they undertook the bonding together, and then you have all of the other people, you know, in the One for All list, that are all like legitimate, real pieces of people that live inside, you know, this I don't know what it would be called, like an ancestry. So everyone else is just a projection of Caspian's subconscious. Even River to a degree, even Meridia to a degree. And partially, I imagine that some of this is built by Indralaya's subconscious as well, because she's in this this ritual. But I didn't rely on Indralaya too much because I wanted it to focus on Caspian. He's the mentor. He's passing down his memory. It's not really about Indralaya. She'll do it with someone else in the future. And also, it's trying to sort of get that across this early and like think about it too much. I didn't have enough written down. Bear in mind, for the first episode, Hector, I had only had 2 weeks working on this. So like I had an idea about it before, but I had really only sat down and like mapped it out for about 2 weeks. So as I went on with the weeks, I was able to pinpoint more specifics around things like Indralaya and timelines and stuff like that, with like who River actually was, who Meridia was and things, and what the ritual was and shit. So that brings me to the next question. What was Liam's contribution was like a major thing that everyone wanted to know, which I couldn't say because it would have been a major plot point. So 2 weeks prior to this first episode, I am like at my wit's end with how to do this. Like I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do the wheel spin and have you guys.
Geek Dice, thank you for the 25.
Thank you.
Have you have no memories, and then your characters are blank character sheets, and you learn them. So I went, okay, how is this happening? And then I had to do it backwards from that. Like, what is causing them to have no memories, and why is it that as the weeks go on, random bits of their memories come to them? You know, like, this is not normally how I would ever write a show, by the way. I find it really difficult to write to these kinds of parameters. Like, I just wait for a random idea to come to me, and then I follow that. To have like a mechanical element in place and then have to sort of come up with something interesting around it is quite hard for my brain, I think. So I had written down like an idea. My original idea was that you were going to be literally inside of an actual whale thing. And this whale has taken your memories, and you're moving through the whale itself for real, physical.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So that was the original kind of concept, and I was sitting and penning like this. So like, again, I really had nothing hard written down. I just kind of had this idea, but I was sort of driving along with Liam, and we had this like long drive somewhere, and I was telling him about it. I was like, so this is the stuff that I've written down. I had done like one proper night of writing at this point where I had an idea. I think I'd come up with the Nemascaran whale, which Nemascaran Leviathan, I wrote down, this is the name of it is Nemo, which is Latin for no one, and then Scara, which is Old Norse for cutting or to cut, which means it's the one who cuts away names. So it's stripping away your identity and memory. And I had all this stuff written down about like, I wanted these two characters to not know who they are. I was like, do they wake up as prisoners? Is there an established like world in here? Like maybe you're like enslaved. Are you alone? And you sort of slowly unravel who you were outside of the whale. And by regaining your power, you get strong enough to be able to escape this whale. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. And I was like, it didn't feel like strong. It was like, this is okay. You know, this is an okay story. And I think it would be fine. And we would all just enjoy ourselves or whatever. But there was a part of me that was like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel interesting. I feel like I can do better. I don't know if you ever get that when you're thinking of ideas or coming up with it. You're almost waiting for a spark.
You know the one when you hit it as well.
You know it straight.
Like, oh, that's an interesting idea, and you'll kind of toy around with some, and then you'll be like, what if this? That's the one, and you always just
there's
know.
a spark
that
activates in me, and I'm away. So one of the things that I was thinking about was you two. So I was like, man, I have to try and make this interesting for them to play. And the two things that were standing in my way was that Whack is incredibly smart, and he does the thing where he'll play a video game and they'll put a maze in front of him and he just walks to the end of the maze.
Dude,
I don't want him to have, no, he might enjoy that, but I don't want him to do that with this. And you have written a show like this, and many shows that are quite cerebral like this. So you're going to either know this whole, it's gonna be like watching a child walk, and the child's like, look, it's so special, and you're like, I remember when I walked for the first time as well. It's adorable, like patting me on the head every week. So I was like, I have to try and stay
Incredible.
I have to try and stay 1 foot ahead of them.
Child impression is one of my very favorite. Because you purposely like missay words, you know, like library, and it makes me fucking laugh so hard every time.
So like I knew I had to stay ahead of you two. You two are very smart, and you know what this game is. You know what it is to DM a show. You understand this whole. No one in the world knows as well as you two how it is to run one of these shows, like a Tablestory show, or to have a show, you know, like there are lots of DMs out there, and there are lots of DMs who GM on like platforms and stuff, but we're Tablestory, and we know what we do, and we know each other so well that I was like, guys, this is going to be really tough because you know all my tricks, you know, I'm like trying to do magic in front of you, but I'm naked, and it's like, oh, we know what you're doing. So I was like really sort of trying to figure out how to do this. So I was sitting in the car driving along, and I'm explaining, I'm just yapping to Liam. I'm like, so they're going to be in a whale maybe, and they're going to have their memory stripped, and they're going to be like this. But I was like, but where can people be really smart? And I don't know how to do this, and I'm going to stay ahead of them. I was like, they can't be brother and sister. It's so obvious. They can't be like mother and son. And then I was like, oh, they can't be like father and daughter. I was like, because they're just going to guess it. They're going to guess it, and they're going to guess it. And the only real contribution, the only real contribution that Liam brought, and it's not like he sat and penned this whole show with me or anything, but he went, what if they were like mentor and disciple?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Bro,
God damn, that's brilliant.
That's it. That's it.
I was like, that's brilliant. And he did the spark for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, God, I remember because we'd got to the place and we had parked, and I was sitting there, and I couldn't go in the store yet because I was like, God damn it, you hit it. And I had to get my phone out and write it all down. I was like, and then we could do this. And we were chatting about this thing. And then he was like, and what if one is fucking dead and the other one is struggling with their purpose after loss? And I was like, God damn, that's it. That's it. And then we were like, and then we both just, and then I started pouring, like, you know, we sort of went back and forth. I can't remember exactly what like part was Liam's and what part wasn't, but it was like, he cleared a blockage in my head. It was like a writer's block type blockage. It was just, I was getting so in my head about like how to approach it instead of actually just trying to write something down. He cleared this blockage, and I was like, oh, this is so good. So nothing inside the whale is real. The Padawan is in a fucking monk retreat having an ayahuasca soul vine thing. There's going to be themes of purpose. They're just going to move through the different things of grief. Then I went away, and then I started to work on that. And then I thought about, how do I make it positive? You know, because I wanted this to not be... if there's one thing I can write about, it's probably grief, depression, sadness, anxiety, just all that kind of stuff. And I've done a lot of things around that. And I was like, I wanted it to be not like a happy ending, but like it's not about the grief that Caspian is feeling. That's not the point. He's moving through his grief, and part of remembering River and part of remembering this bonding and all of that stuff is the grief at his own mentor. But the point of it is why do we grieve? Why are we grieving? You know, what has this person given to you, and what memories do you have with them? And then I was like, well, how much of that person is you? How much, you know, and we got into it in the show, but like I was like, when you have someone as close to you as like a mentor figure like that, and in Caspian's life, with Caspian and River, they were specifically outsiders who found each other and had this kind of wanderlust because they weren't quite brought up exactly on the island the way that everyone else was. So they were interested in other things, and so they had a very close, tight-knit mentor-disciple bond. And then, you know, like you have, how much of you is you, really? How much of you is a memory of someone else, or how much of you, when you have someone who's as close to you as that, bringing you up, is there, you know, maybe you pour your tea the same way they did, you know, and people watch you and they're like, oh, you use your left hand to hold your right if you have like a custom. And they're like, that's interesting. And it's because that's the way your mother did, or that's the way your father did, or your grandpa, or your mentor. So then I was like, okay, how is this positive? How is this positive? And I was like, I don't know if it's positive exactly, but I think maybe it's just about, it's not who are we, but our memories. It's how much of our memories shape us. And then I was like, okay, well, what if it was super interesting for me to be like, well, now wait, magic. We have magic in this world. What if there is legitimately almost like a scientific method of taking a piece of someone and then it transposes into you, and it is a part of you forever, and it isn't just like these things that we in the real world have to sort of be like, well, you know, maybe there's a part of this person, or maybe we can be spiritual about it, or maybe we have religion about it. It's just straight up is provable that a piece of this person has been transferred into you, a legitimate memory and
I
a
think
legitimate
that's a
piece
very
of
beautiful thing.
them.
Anyway.
And I was like, honestly, there's really no difference.
Yeah.
When I really started writing this, I was like, there's actually no difference at all whether you tell me that someone magically placed a piece of someone's memory in me and that is affecting me and changing how I think and how I move, versus people who I've met throughout my entire life that have affected me,
yeah,
and have influenced me in some way, whether it was good or bad or what. They are a part of me. That is what a instinct is. That is what like nature versus nurture arguments are all about.
Yeah. Or even, you know, like you said, habits, things that you may pick up from being around someone for a long time, or
that's you now.
Sometimes other people will pick up the way they laugh from somebody else that they're around a lot, or you know, things like that, and you are being shaped by the people around you. And I actually think it's an incredibly beautiful idea to think that, you know, when someone is gone, there is a piece of them that you are carrying with you as long as you live. And then maybe that piece of them gets passed down to, you know, your kids, or, you know, other people that you meet and interact with. And it is kind of a immortality in its own way, even though the shape changes sometimes. The names may not always be attached, but some of that wisdom, some of that, you know, way of living and the way that they really affect you will be passed on no matter what, even if you realize it or you don't.
This is what I got into when I started figuring out a way through this that wasn't about me being doom and gloom about my own experiences in life, but about the greater understanding of it, because these are monks, you know what I mean? Like I was like, well, how would a fully realized version of me, or a fully realized version of Caspian, or a fully realized monk in anywhere or person fully aware of this come to these different conclusions? And then what if you have this string that you can follow of memories, and each person is literally chipping off a piece of their soul and handing it down? The ayahuasca
I love that
thing in this is called the soul vine, because that's what it is. That's why the vines keep coming up and stuff, is because you're the vine of life, and this root that's come back from whoever did this first and has moved all the way through these different people to Caspian, to you. The nodes are maybe the memories.
That's just an interesting concept too, because like vines will grow in really turbulent conditions, and also vines can be slow, and also there are certain vines that will last through the winter. Like ivy is one of those that will last through the winter, and they grow in weird directions. But if you if you erect something, they'll grow along that wall, you know, they will just continue to grow. So like bringing it back to the idea that people shape you in unexpected ways, and then their, you know, kind of what they did for you will ripple outward. Obviously water is an easy comparison to make, but the idea that it is a vine and it will twist and it will change and it will grow in unexpected ways is a beautiful analogy as well.
That's kind of like where I ended up while moving through this. I also wanted it to feel like a bloodline, but it's, I think, very important for people to recognize that Caspian and River have found family through two very different reasons. Caspian lost his entire family in an accident on the sea. River actively disconnected from her family, and it doesn't matter, because they found new family, they found new purpose, and they passed on these memories. They shaped, you know, different parts of them are still being shaped by these memories. Different parts of Caspian and River and Meridia and Indralaya and all these various people, they're all part of this same string, and this same, you know, blood isn't thicker than water, really. It's just an old shitty saying. And the string that is being, or the vine that connects all of these people, they're all found family, you know what I mean? Like they're all random people in your history, which is no different to, like, you don't know your great-great-great-grandpa, you know what I mean? You don't know who these strangers are who came before you, but they shaped the people that were before them, and then they, you know, it comes up with So that was kind of
Yeah.
the other thing as well that I wanted just to be in the background while I was building this. I really wanted them to not be monks from the island. I wanted them to have been people that found one another or, you know, ended up here. Caspian has some stuff with fate that I think is more just because I think I don't want to be exclusionary to anyone or anything, but like I think it was important that these two were religious and spiritual, so that they could follow the Leviathan, but they have different ways of exploring that. Caspian believes in like fate. He thinks he's where he's supposed to be. Whereas I don't think River did. River was just like, I wound up here, you know, kind of holistic or whatever. But was like, you know, I came into contact with this creature. You know, it's real. It's a real thing as well. It's different when you're in these settings. It's different than maybe in real life where we can have these debates between atheists and different religious people. But in this world, the Leviathan is legitimately swimming around, and they're like, well, not only is that an actual creature, but I'm drawing magic from it to cast these water spells. So it's like, you know, they kind of had to be these cleric monks, really. What were you going to say?
It's not a shitty saying. It's just said wrong. The full saying is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And it means found family is more important. And
so they've got it all backwards.
It's just misquoted. Pretty often.
Wow.
Boo boo. Those of you who like kitty cuddles, there's some kitty cuddles happening on the screen right now. If you're lurking, oh my god, you're so cute. Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Okay, I need to shut the. So I don't scare her.
Yeah, so that was Liam's contribution. Was sort of just to sort of he predominantly came up with the idea that you guys would be mentor and disciple, because I think that's much harder for you to guess. And I think is also
it's also just a really good.
It shaped everything.
It
shaped everything for me. It opened the floodgates for my brain, and I just went from there. He also had a lot to do with struggling with like purpose after loss, and the idea that maybe I think we sort of came up with it together, but maybe one of the things that the characters are moving through are the phases of loss or grief. So you went through denial, anger, bargaining, depression,
it was
and
really good.
Acceptance as the different dungeons, which was rough because I was like, we have to move on. There was a point where you went back to Hector and I was like, fuck. I knew I should have been locking the doors behind you somehow.
Well, but not really, because sometimes that happens with grief. Sometimes you will go and then you go backwards.
But that doesn't help me with my pacing and timing because I was like, we're gonna run out of time. So we actually have plenty of time, but it's, you know, when you're like, you know, you've only got a certain amount of sessions.
And
you're like,
believe me, I'm sure both Whack and I were like, we should not be doing this, but also
well, I mean, you didn't know how hard I had planned it out. But I did know that like episode 1 and 2 would be denial, because 1 I knew was going to be a lot of waffle, just figuring out. I wanted a big chunk at the beginning where nothing happened.
Brad, she's so cute. Look at her.
1 was going to be you just messing around, so 1 and 2 would be denial. Then episode 2, 3 would be anger, and then bargaining, depression, acceptance, and then I was like, I'm out of sessions. You know, I've got to get this done. What was the place they woke up in? Why does the seagrass kelp float? One of the things that was interesting about the place you woke up in is you didn't check the wall behind you. And the wall behind you was like spiraled closed. So it was supposed to feel a bit like the thing that closes the esophagus. It's like a sphincter, but it's not a sphincter. It's called something. So it was supposed to feel like you had entered the gullet for the first time and you were moving sort of through the esophagus towards the stomach. Now I don't know what you mean by what was the place they woke up in. It was literally just a cave with water. It is called a sphincter. Okay. Why does the seagrass / kelp float? Seagrass, kelp, I think you needed something in here that. So I mean, first of all, it just has a water theme. Caspian is from an island, so I was like, you know, how much. He's not going to be.
It's also such a big part of his life, right? Sailing, everything, you know.
It's
like,
not. It's all going to be water based. It's all like memory is water based. Time is water based.
Now, didn't
Caspian
like
lives on an island. It comes from he was born on a ship.
Yeah.
So I'd like to point
I'm gonna
out.
forget. Oh,
You ruined it. You son
first.
of a bitch.
Yep.
It wasn't gonna.
I was about
she
to
wasn't
ask him
gonna
a
stay there
question
forever.
anyway.
Yeah. You also. I don't know how many people were aware of this. Just a subtle thing. Brad did all of the map stuff as watercolor.
It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. And I did clock that, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I made it. I gave it as much of a watercolor theme as I could.
Yeah. Now, Whack, that final conversation where Caspian says, yeah, I feel safer on the water also, was that done knowing that would maybe back up why there was water everywhere in this like heavy water theme in your subconscious?
I don't
Or was
even
it-
remember
did it-
saying that. I
Oh,
wish
cool,
I could
cool,
tell
cool.
you
Cool,
that
cool,
it was
cool.
some kind of profound fucking
I was like,
remembrance.
wow.
It didn't- I don't even remember saying that.
Okay, cool. Just making shit up.
So I don't even know if that happened or
It did
if-
happen. I'm not crazy.
Okay.
It happened, but
Okay.
Yeah.
I fully believe you. I
cool.
also,
He definitely doesn't believe me at all.
No, I do. I don't remember half the reason that I did shit. The only thing that I can tell you as far as reasoning goes was I didn't plan anything out with Caspian. I just tried to put my brain in his headspace. That's the only
Yeah.
thing I did. So
Yeah.
there wasn't some deep meaning to why I did anything. I just straight up did what I just tried to visualize what he would do and who he was in my head and just act on those things. That's
Yep.
what he was doing. And, you know, he didn't have like a high intelligence score or anything, right? So like I wasn't trying to like overthink things. A lot of the time I was just like, okay, he's just like average intelligence. He's not going to be like super contemplative about everything. He's just trying to deal with the situation, and he's worried about you know, this person that has some kind of tie to him that you know, they need to look after each other, and they're basically just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So pretty much all the decisions stemmed from that. It was just, I'm just trying to put my head in that space. I wasn't trying to
Yeah.
be profound or wasn't thinking, you know, about any of that stuff. It was just the moment.
I have to give myself, like, this is slightly off topic, but I have to give myself a structure when I play characters with a lower intelligence, because I cannot stop my brain from going and thinking about it like a million things. So my structure is like, oh, if they're like 8 intelligence, which they were at the beginning, or less, you get one question, which is, do I feel safe with Hector? No. Cool. That's it. You don't
Yeah,
think
it's
beyond that
instincts.
point, or I can think beyond that point. But, you know, the character makes all the decisions based on that first question. You know, 12 intelligence, you can get 2 or 3. You know,
You
like
two
shit like
waking
that.
up in that first opening cavern is my favorite bit of the whole show. And I really like what I wrote, and I really enjoyed running the show overall. Like, for the most part, I'm very happy
It
with
was very cool.
But just
I was
watching
very
you two
immersed.
role play the opening and
Yeah.
just be like, you don't know anything about yourselves, but you know what to do. You know how to use your limbs. You know, once you sort of think about what water is, you know what water is. And it's just super horrible to be thrown into a role play scenario like that. And
Yeah.
you two smashed it. It's also
think
just
we
like,
were-
it's pretty rough to
I think we
role
loved it,
play.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I know that you say it's horrible to be thrown into that, but I think you told us the concept before the show started.
Yep.
And I remember when you first talked about the idea with your chat on your channel, where you're like, I love the. I saw this thing on. I think you said you found it on Reddit or something like
Found
that,
some
where you
bullshit,
like,
yeah, years
yeah,
ago.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a concept for a D&D, situation for a table, and you loved it. And I remember when you talked about that.
The
and
blank sheets is what
Yeah,
it's referencing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking about it with us, I thought it was very interesting. I wanted to try it out. I don't think either of us were like, oh,
Well, it was
no.
more like, I don't think you overthought it or anything. Already came, it wasn't.
I
you had
panicked.
nothing to prepare exactly.
I'll back him up.
But you, it was still. I just loved the way you
did
did
panic.
it. Like the idea,
absolutely
like it
panicked.
felt like Caspian was kind of like a caveman learning,
Yeah.
and River was questioning, and
Yeah, I doubted that I
and-
did it right.
and
I was like,
through
oh God, should
questioning,
I have
you're-
gone
you're-
caveman?
you're gaining blocks.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was no right or wrong way to do it. The
No, it worked out perfectly because she was the mentor anyway. Like it just
everything
ended
worked
up
out
being
so weirdly well.
crazy. Yeah.
So yeah, when you say what was the place they woke up in, for me the only thing I wanted really was that it was just pure darkness. At first I just thought, because I just wanted it to feel like your consciousness waking up, or drifting in, or you were coming up from a void. I knew that you would question it a lot. You can't, if you're doing a show like this or you're telling a story like this, you can't really put any particularly like hard clues in here, because it's so important and it's going to be scrutinized. So I was like, I'm going to keep it very simple. There's just water, there's just seagrass, there's cold stone. There is a spiral on the stone behind them, and then there's a door that leads the way I fucking need them to go. That's just DMing railroading that I needed to do.
That's not DMing railroading. That's DMing 101. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's railroading, but I don't treat railroading as an ugly word.
Yeah.
I think railroading is appropriate. Everyone's railroading. You want your players to go where you need them to go. And it is, that was it really. In terms of why the seagrass and kelp floated, I just wanted it. That was my only clue. That everything wasn't what it seems. It doesn't seem fair to make it impossible to solve at any point. You don't want that, it's annoying. So really the only reason that the seagrass floated up was that I just wanted it to give you a sense of like, what the fuck is going on here? And that not everything is exactly as it seems, but again, you're in a world with magic, so maybe that's fine, or maybe this is all happening inside someone's head. That was basically it. You ate it straight away. I didn't even think about that. You were like, am I hungry? And I was like, didn't even think about this. And you were like, I eat some of this shit. And I was like, cool. It just tastes like seagrass. There's no way Caspian doesn't know what that tastes like, so he eats it. He's like, man, that's gross. And the next question is, how did they drink the water without having a mouth? How can they taste it? Is it perception versus reality? Can you talk about that? I really didn't think about this much either. I didn't care. It doesn't matter.
It's kind of like a dream too,
It's
right?
a dream. It's I sort of just imagined it like if we were to watch it under a torchlight, he's just like a maquette, like a blank body that's in like 3D Studio Max or like Blender or something, and he's just bringing this seagrass up to his face and eating it, and we're hearing him eat it, and the seagrass is disappearing, but you're not seeing anything happen because he doesn't remember what his mouth looks like, but as an animal he remembers eating. So I get just somewhere in there, but for me very much that dream space is what we're witnessing and what Caspian is, because it really only matters what Caspian is witnessing here. When we're watching it as a viewer, it's like, what the fuck? How is he doing that? Because you're thinking it's kind of real, but actually this is literally a dream. It's such a trope in movies and stuff to be like, it was all a dream at the end, but it kind of is.
Yeah, it was different though.
And
that trope at all.
When you're in a dream, the details are so weird. Sometimes dreams have an incredible amount of detail. Sometimes in my dreams, I will create people who are very realistic, and I have like full-blown legitimate conversations with them where they seem like a different person, and I wake up and I'm like, what? That was me. I invented that person, and this conversation we had, I played both parts, but they were coming up with some like fucking cool, they were like way smarter, way more interesting. They were coming up with this creative stuff, and it fucking weirds me out. And I wake up sometimes and I've had these incredibly vivid dreams with these incredibly vivid characters, and I realize that I've just hollow projected all of them. I was playing all the fucking parts, and they were coming up with really interesting points.
I guess I just
they were
made that up.
coming up with stuff that I
yeah.
didn't even know I knew. And then I get like, then I start splitting off, because then I'm like, oh, dreaming is planeswalking, and I was in another version of me in another universe, and that was a real conversation I had a glimpse of, because there's no way I knew anything about whatever the fuck they were talking, quantum physics. But then also in the same breath, in that same dream, I will just stand up and walk out of a room in a house party, and I'm in SeaWorld in the next room, you know, and you just like blur into the next setting. You don't question it. You don't think about it. It doesn't matter, because you're just in a dream state. So for me, that was pretty much where that was. Whenever you like asked me about it, that was kind of how I would play it. Like you just would have seen it vanish, I guess, you know, but he wouldn't have grown a mouth to eat it suddenly, and wouldn't have like swallowed it or whatever, because it really is just all happening inside Caspian's subconscious. So, you know, pinch of salt, I guess. It's kind of I think that's quite useful with this kind of media. If this were a TV show or a movie, it would be very difficult to show that part when Caspian was eating kelp for the first time. We would have to come up with a hard line for it. But with this, I feel like you don't have to unless you are asked. And that was kind of where I was prepared to go with it if I was asked. Was their own echo that led them to Hector's camp real, or were they being driven there? Was there anything else in the first dark cavern? Was there any route that led somewhere other than the Hector's camp?
Oh,
so this was...
I don't want to know some of these.
Okay.
Should I take my headphones off?
No, I just
I have
won't
to pee
answer it if
anyway.
you don't want.
No. They can find out. I just
Okay.
I don't want to know if there's anything else in what was in the other caverns that we didn't go down. But I'll be back.
It looks like she's still got her headphones on. They're still on.
Let's give her 5 seconds.
And they're off.
One.
So boring. It's just the puzzle. Where is my exact answer for the puzzle? Back end of the denial dungeon. So it's purely just the puzzle is that the tunnels that
family ties. What family ties was the third one. The second one was close quarters.
Oh no, not that. Yeah, but this was
loving memory.
This was when you had the 5 tunnels in front of you, and
Yeah.
you went down one of them and met a halfling. This is just pure. This is pure DMing shit. This isn't wibbly wobbly fucking unknown. This was an allegory for this, that, the other. It was exclusively just padding that I didn't need, because you spent so much time going back and forth to Hector's, and I was like, fuck, I need them to move on like now.
Yeah. I could sense. I had GM sense going on that you were like, I need to hurry
because it was the
up.
first time I was like time jumping you. I was like 3 hours later you get to here. 3 hours later you can now fast travel back and forth. Because I just knew I didn't have time to do it.
When you're below level 3 in Dungeons and Dragons, it is the most terrifying thing, because a loud sneeze can fucking, if that loud sneeze crits you, if it goes from loud sneeze to dad sneeze, you're rolling death saves, you know? So it's like, we didn't know what was going to happen. Was Brad going to like make us make another character? We had no idea. He didn't tell us anything. So, you know, there's that fear of like, oh shit, like, are we going to fuck up the story? You know, there's a little bit of that, like, because he's only got 8 episodes. Like, I'm sure he's got something worked out for death, but like, it's also like, hey, is it going to fuck up the timing for everything if we die?
I didn't think about the death mechanics until the like 10 minutes before the first episode. I went, oh shit, what if they die? What the fuck do I do to them? You know, like, how do I do this? And I was like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll make them like lose a piece of themselves, which won't feel horrible until the end, when you're like, ah, that I actually wish that I'd come out of this fully recalled. Anyway, just before PB gets back, the tunnel that had the echoes, no, the tunnel that didn't have the echoes was the right way to go. That was it. Otherwise, they were just endless, endless tunnels, because I think my justification at the time was something about echoes being what is happening with the memories. Memories are echoes, right? What is a ghost? Is a ghost not a memory? Is a ghost an echo? That kind of thing. But I don't know why I didn't write down. I don't know what I did with my notes for this. The only reason there was a halfling down that tunnel was to just fucking drag you into the next thing. I was like, I've got it. I have to get, because we were coming up to the end of the episode, and I was like, fuck it. There's a guy down here. And I was like, oh, it kind of ruins that. And I was like, nothing ruins anything. It's all in his head. There's a guy there now, and he is going to just make you, just nudge you in the right direction.
Yep.
Because of time. Honestly, given how much time I ended up having in a couple of episodes later, I had a bit more time than I realized. I think I probably could have just left you for a bit longer. But at the point that I was at, I was like, oh, this is eating into like the back end of this show at this point. And I was like, I've really got to get them out of the first dungeon by the end of this episode. Because I think we were pushing like episode 3 at that point. And I was like, they have to be in this next dungeon by episode 3. Because again, I knew that you had 5 stages of depression to go through. So then I only had 3 episodes outside of that. And I knew that one of those episodes would be in the real world. So I really only had 7 episodes, which is like the beginning, 5 episodes, the last, and then the real world. And I was like, oh, I got to get him out of here. So then this fucking halfling shows up and is like, well, come with me, fuck it, we're going this way, quick. Just pure DMing shit, you know. And it's like, you're really trying sometimes to like
DM's helper.
You're trying to be cerebral and trying to be cool and trying to keep the pacing and stuff, but then you're also DMing something, and you're also like running a show, and you're on like you have 2.5 hours to run the fucking thing, plus you've only got 8 episodes. And I was like, straight up DMing Brad, kicking in here. Next question was
by the way, thank you Anonymous for
thank you everyone
these tips. Anonymous for the 20, Anonymous for the 31, unlock the new show trailer, Anonymous for the 33, another pin for the Charlie wall. Thank you.
It is, I just want to clarify, it is the unredacted version of the trailer.
Oh shit.
Okay. A lot of people won't even know what that means because
Yep.
Discord,
That's right.
Discord.
If they're part of the Tablestory community and they have not, and they're on our Discord and they haven't looked at that channel yet, that's mind-boggling because there's about 850 billion messages in that channel. PB was so like, you know, in her own head when all this stuff started, and she was like, I don't even know if I, you know, like, did I do anything like good? You know, like, it's just, I don't know about this reaction.
Oh, wow. That was supposed to be a private conversation, but no, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
And this is, and like 10 minutes later, 800 messages in the channel. Like, how dare you feel that way?
Well,
it's been a long
it's been a long time since I've done puzzle stuff like that. So I was a little concerned that, like, you know, maybe they're not into it. Anyway, I'm really glad you guys are enjoying it.
You did an amazing job, and
people
not even over yet.
Yeah. Well,
the hardest puzzle has yet to come.
Join our Discord. Trust me, especially if you like
Tablestory.tv/Discord.
Yeah, it's not like other Discords.
Did you just I'm not like other girls to Discord?
We're not like other girls.
So
okay, right, got it.
Thank you, Anonymous, for another 10. Thank you.
Why does the blue-green stone glow brighter to red and blue? I don't know where you got this from. I don't know if I said that or not, but I didn't really have it that they glow brighter than one another. I think maybe just in the descriptions at one point I sort of said this, and unless we're talking about different stones, but I'm assuming you mean these stones, the big magical stones that were dotted around.
Super Mega Punch, thank you for the 14. Thank you.
Ew.
The stones alone were a couple of things that got a little blurred together, and then a little lost because I started to just fucking spin so many plates with this. Originally, they were going to represent the 3 Nemaskaran islands among like a sea of water, because you were always walking through water, and these 3 stones were going to be the only thing. They were going to be the only thing that drew your memories out and stuff. But then I realized it's just not going to happen. So then I was going to have them be a charm necklace that Indralaya was wearing. And she had these little stones on that were different colors, which I think may even still be true. But then there was a point I got really in my head, maybe 2 or 3 weeks in. I think it might have been the second week or the end of it, where I was like, if one of their characters is wearing a necklace with little green and blue and gems on it, they'd solve the puzzle. If you unlocked on a spin your amulets and it had a little necklace that had
I see.
red, green, and blue gems.
I think you're giving that way.
I was like, they would get it.
Credit.
They're going to get it
Yep.
straight away. Well,
Yep.
this is this side of it, though, right? You must know how it
Oh,
feels.
100%.
You're like, they're going to get it. They're going to get it. They're going to guess it. They're going to guess
God.
it. And also, at this point, or like 2 weeks in already, everyone's in this fucking Discord being like, it's this, this is crazy, this is crazy. Some people were close to the mark. Some people were really far away from it, but they were really like good guesses. There were lots of people kind of like, I didn't really expect people to give a shit this much about this story.
Yeah.
Partially because I was like, this
Why?
probably
It's
isn't
so
that.
good.
I don't know. I don't know. I just wasn't expecting anyone
You think-
to
Stigma around
Sorry
the
to
shill
make
show.
a real. I was just gonna say, do you think it's because it's a shill show?
I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah.
I was thinking, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't expecting people to really start like proper table story
Yeah.
investigation, inquisitoring it.
I think it's
Yeah.
that. I think it's
Yeah.
that you know, there's you have this. It's not quite imposter syndrome, but there's a stigma around like, oh, you know, we need to make money to keep the channel alive. We need to do this show. So it's like, for some reason, because it happens to
I
me
think
too.
all 3 of us feel guilty that we even have to do the show,
Yeah.
and so we're kind of like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, I was in
It
my head.
feels like we shit it out or something, even though we work way
Yeah.
harder.
It's harder, yeah.
on the shill
Yeah.
shows usually, just because we time restriction and you know, we got to earn money, and like, you know, like that shit's harder, and we're
Mhm.
good at like just general, you know, general TTRPG stuff, right? We
Yeah.
know
Mhm.
how to do that, and we're under less pressure when we do that. So I think there's that stigma.
There was something in my head.
Yeah.
I remember being quite panicked about it, and I changed the amulets from the necklace that was going to be on River to the same as what's on Caspian, so they just have matching amulets, even though it's a different Leviathan scale. And originally it was going to be a little thing that had red, green, and blue gems on it. And then in the final scene, you would see that Indralaya is now wearing it. Well, I think maybe if I could go back and rewrite the final scene, I would maybe put that in, you know, maybe make a note that she's wearing like a little necklace that has something like that in, just because I think that the stones weren't really wrapped up.
Well, I was.
But again, it was a bit of a messy, because I kind of
Yeah.
changed what they were a couple times, because it just felt, because I changed the story to change it from the island's representation, and because two of them were green, 2 of them were going to be green and blue, and then it ended up being 2 of them were red instead, because they matched because I gave one to the witch instead of having a different puzzle. There was what I was going to do. I had the witch instead, and so then I was like, well, it doesn't represent the islands anymore, because there's 2 blue green islands and 1 red. Sorry, go on, Whack.
Well, my thinking was, My initial thinking was we are just inside of a creature. We were inside of the Leviathan. You know, in chat was talking about it a lot, but like that was my initial thinking. We were inside the Leviathan. As soon as you mentioned the Leviathan, I'm like, oh, we're inside. I thought it was essentially the equivalent of Tiamat. I thought we were inside Tiamat. And if you're familiar with Tiamat from D&D lore in general, it's Tiamat has 5 heads, and they're represented by the chromatic dragons as well. And you know, they're kind of associated, I think, with like different, almost like different emotions. So in my head, I thought you were using color to associate with the gems as well as different emotions, or like I didn't know what the show was about really until we got closer to the end.
I thought it was the humors, so very similar to the emotions, like because he was doing the elements, and then at the same time we were going through the stages of grief. So I was like, oh, I see. Is this like the sanguine, the, you know, like the humors, traditional humors, alchemy kind of type thing. But
yeah, I was somewhere in that realm.
Yeah, it was more the colors was really originally, it was just really, it got really hard to keep doing while you're sort of spinning, weaving this story. But the colors originally were just going to be what is real and not real, or quote unquote real and not real, and then also what is Caspian's memory and what is River's memory, what is linked to Caspian, what is linked to River, what is linked to Caspian's sort of true origin, and what is linked to some additional origin. So for example, Caspian, the first stone you find is linked to the captain and his ship, so therefore it's linked to Caspian. Whereas when you get to the red stone that represents the islands, obviously it represents anger and the boiling stomach of the creature, because you were in the creature. It was supposed to feel like you were moving through a Leviathan. But also it represents more to do with Caspian's adopted life with the Nemaskaran monks and that new culture and new life. So it was kind of like there. That was where it was. It was just, this is to do with Caspian, or is a real thing, and isn't a real thing. Like River isn't real. She's a memory. She's dead. The witch is a literal red herring. So she's wearing red. Yeah. And isn't real. Yeah. I wanted you to think that you were in a creature. And I wanted you to think this is too obvious. And I also like, it just doesn't like, if you were just moving through an animal, this would be the worst written thing I've ever done. You know, like it just doesn't, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, it kind of feels like we're moving through the gullet and then into the stomach. And then after that, it starts getting really weird. You're moving through the walls. I get, maybe we're in a lung now. Why is it stone?
Like how you like,
why is there water on the underside here? Like there isn't any, like where's the sound of like being inside of this creature? But also I wanted that, but you were also moving through the creature, and partially my justification is the dream thing again. Partially is Caspian he doesn't know what it's like to be inside of a creature. We now know he does, because he gets eaten by a frog. But at the time I was like, you know, he doesn't know what the proper inner workings of a creature is. He's definitely gutted fish and stuff, so he has a good idea of these tunnels and things, but how great is his imagination when it comes to moving through something like this? And then also he's competing with like Indralaya's consciousness, River's memories, and also just being on this drug, being in this weird headspace while experiencing this thing. So it kind of it feels more like a tunnel. And I was like, well, he's an adventurer. Him and River went on all these adventures. They're always in fucking tunnels and crypts and shit. Like, it was going to feel more like a stone tunnel and stuff like that. So it's the first layer of red herring, is you're inside of the Leviathan. I wanted you to come to that conclusion, and then people can be like, oh, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. The second layer is, wait, they're actually moving through the stages of grief, plus the red herring of there being a witch ever present. The witch was entirely designed at first to just be, once you meet this witch, you're like, do we trust her? She seems to be all powerful. Everyone's scared of her. She knows what's going on more than anyone. She is presenting herself as friendly. She's orchestrating this whole fucking thing. This is her. She's got us in like an illusion or whatever. And then the actual truth is you're on drugs, which you screamed at one point, which is true. And I needed there to be 2 layers of red herrings to compete with you two being so smart and all of them being so goddamn smart. I was like, it's gonna feel, I was like, I hope they don't feel like they got like misled or it was like a trick or something.
No,
but
amazing.
I felt like I needed 2 full layers because, and I'm glad now I did it, but I remember writing it being like, it might feel a bit kind of cheap maybe at the end, or like, you know, like you were kind of unguessable, which it kind of is unguessable. But again, I was like, you know what, I think this would be rewatchable. So yeah, that was the one, that was the stones, and 2, that was, you were right to guess that you were inside of a creature. I wanted you to guess that. And then the reveal when you fully engage with the Leviathan, which could have happened in episode 1, by the way, is I hit that button where you hear the whale sound.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you made a direct connection with the Leviathan yourselves, I was going to hit that button.
That was so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, GM Brown, for the 20. Much appreciated.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
Was Hector trustworthy? We sort of answered. Did he tell the truth? Yeah. But again, he isn't real, so you know, what is the truth? What's the juice? It is just, I just imagine it to be, it's just, there's lots of vines and there's lots and lots of little metaphors, similes, and presentations of like tea and drinks, because he's literally drinking like an ayahuasca drink, and then he, you know, he goes into this thing. So, you know, it's like partially a tea thing, it's partially a life thing, it's partially the roots and the vines of the memory with the juice, and obviously just lifeblood and that kind of thing. Liquid and water and memory are always a thing again. So really it's just that. I just needed there also to be something that you went and collected. I wanted there to be something to just give them to do, you know, as a DM to players. Like, you need to go and collect something. Here's a bucket. Go and get this juice. And like, these people just revere these weird things like a stone and some juice, because what else would they revere? They're just like, this is all we have. This is how we eat. Yeah, there's not too much in it, but a lot of stuff is just, a lot of things just are just tea. That just means tea. And when you watch it again, you're like, oh, the vine is ayahuasca, the drink is tea, the witch is the shaman, that kind of thing. What's behind the crack in the wall at Hector's camp? He told them they could go north, which was the slow mutants, south, where they came from, or a crack in the wall next to the southern entrance, and they would have to be very good swimmers. No one ever made it to the other side. I don't know. I have no idea what's in there. They can't do it. They couldn't swim it. It's just another option, but it's you have no choice. And it's partially me saying you can only go this way because it's all I have for you, and we have a limited run of episodes. And I sort of thought it would be interesting to put a third option in there, which is unknown. You know, there always has to be something that is like a question mark. What, you know, there always has to be something that's like, what is that? You know, why is there a shadow there? What is this? What is that? Everything, you know, I don't have all the answers for everything. It was just, I wanted there to be this sense of like, we know what's down that way and we know what's down that way. We don't know what the fuck is down there. And that's just scary, I think. Like, it's just kind of a mild horror element. What are the slow mutants? I'll tell you what I originally had them in my head to be. But I really liked some of the stuff that other people came up with. But for me, when I first made them, I was thinking about people who don't have access to all of their memories, people who suffer things like Alzheimer's or dementia. And what does that look like? I would imagine that there are maybe people in Caspian's life, older members of the Nemaskaran monks and people who suffer from Alzheimer's or suffer from something like dementia. And then this is partially him reconciling with that. And then how does that look if this whole thing is about memory? If this even this ritual takes place, there are things that can interrupt it. There are true deaths that can happen. There are ends to these lineages. And just, yeah, I just thought, well, how does that look to Caspian? And I think Caspian, as an old man, would probably not look at it this way, but Caspian, as a 19-year-old moving through some dark tunnels without access to all of his memories, would be very afraid of something like dementia or Alzheimer's. In fact, I would say it's probably one of the most frightening things ever for these people.
Yeah.
I think dying of, you know, some sort of disease or old age or a heart attack or something is way preferable to something that eats away at your memories. They're so special. They're revered so highly among these people. So then I thought, okay, well, how do I turn that into horror? Basically, I want the first thing that you encounter in these tunnels to be scary and awful. And I think that they are. So then I was like, well, this is why they appear as partially recalled. They have some of their limbs, but they don't really remember the other parts of themselves. So they just appear like these mutant, these horrible things that are just like their arms are too big, or their body is small because they're not fully remembering everything, or they're twisted.
Yeah.
And that's why also lots of the different characters have different approaches to them. They appear at first as a monster that you fight and kill. They freak out, they get scared. That was why there was a conundrum there for you to kill the last one. Hector thinks you just kill them, get rid of them. The witch was like, no, they're just confused. Like, just leave them alone. They don't know, they don't understand. You know, so because these are the different ways that people approach a lot of these different things. But I think people with dementia, with Alzheimer's, my grandma died of dementia. As far as I'm aware, I think my dad has it. I don't have any contact with him. So it's coming to get me as well. So this is partially my own fear manifesting. And so it's like one of those things where you witness it and it is terrifying, and it's scary. And the people quite often are sort of vilified because they're just screaming and crazy. Like dementia in particular can make someone very violent and volatile. Yeah, so it was just, that was my take on, honestly, just that. Those different things that can happen to you. But I did enjoy a lot of the things that people thought the slow mutants were. They're also called slow mutants literally as a nod to one of my favorite novels, The Gunslinger, in that they go into a big long tunnel and they have to fight off and escape these creatures, or these like people that are called slow mutants, which this reminded me of. I was like, oh, they're going to come up against the monsters, and you know, before I knew what it was going to be, I was like, maybe they should refer to them as slow mutants.
Just as a random,
yeah,
it just popped into my head, and it's in reference to what you were talking about with, because that's the Stephen King book, right?
Yeah.
So, my parents visited me like a month and some change ago, and I explained the world building process to my stepmother, who doesn't know anything about TTRPGs, nothing, right? But she was a very big Stephen King fan, very, very big Stephen King. She was a rabid Stephen King fan. I remember just when I was a kid, and I was like scared of those books when I was a kid. You know, like I was like, oh, Stephen King, it's like horror stuff, right? Yeah. Like I didn't understand anything about it.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. You were not wrong. Yeah. You could pick up one book and be like, wow, what a cool otherworldly adventure. And then the next book, you're like, oh, I can't sleep for a month.
Yeah, I only thought it was horror stuff when I was a kid. So like I couldn't really wrap my head around it. But like on her birthday and stuff, like I'd get her, you know, some Stephen King stuff here and there. One of the ways I explained it to her, and I explained the world building process, was like how, you know, Stephen King does his world building, and there's, you know, bits in each story that sort of connect everything. It's a universe. It's not just like one story. And that was the way that I was able to explain everything to her. She got it. I saw the light click, and she's like, oh. And I showed her, you know, the map that I've been working on. I'm like, listen, I started with the geography for this, and then I'm going to build everything after that. And she was able to follow along, and she doesn't know anything about TTRPGs. So I just thought that was a cool thing. That just Sorry.
That's
popped in
nice.
my head.
Yeah, no, that's nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that was my little nod to Stephen King in this. Can you explain what was happening with the backgrounds? Also, the moving and connecting blue and green dots. What is the moving and connecting blue and green dots? Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't know.
Are you in here? This is Zephyr Snake, right? Yeah. The backgrounds, do you mean for the show? In the background, I think that is purely just I animated the background. Yeah, there was no meaning. I didn't know that they were moving and connecting exactly. I just knew they were moving around. The backgrounds were, like Wack said, they were just a bunch of watercolor images that I wanted to look like tunnels, but also progressively, originally I was going to make them look more like you were inside of a creature. So that's it. They just look like undersea creature based, tunnel based, inside of a monster type thing. Again, just didn't want to give too much away. Wanted to make sure it was a watercolor theme, and that was it. That really was. There wasn't any real. If I could commission really fucking cool art, then I would have overthought it for sure. But
yeah.
One of the ways that we are able to commission art is by the tips that we receive on these shows. If you would like to help keep Tablestory going, this is one of the main ways that we do that. If you're wondering what we do with this money, it's primarily Tablestory overhead.
What we do in the shadows. Sorry.
with art and music. This is one of the main ways that we pay for that stuff, as well as paying ourselves and, you know, barely clinging to life.
Last one from Zephyr Snake, and then I think we have like a couple more, and I think we're done. I'm sure that you're getting bored of me answering all these questions.
Never.
Zephyr says, I love time and stuff. You did so well playing with time. Can you please talk about your intention behind it, and is there more to it? Every time a character said it's good that you have a sense of time, or oh, don't worry about time, it satisfies and inspires me beyond measure. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things in here. There was there was going to be an element to this where it felt like you were constantly moving along a river. It feels like you're in a tunnel, but you also have flowing water underfoot all the time, which is time. Rivers often represent, you know, the passage of time and stuff like that in media. They're literally in a pool of water. Caspian is in a pool of water while this is happening. The first 7 episodes of this, predominantly the entire show, takes place while Caspian is laying in water. He worships a water-based creature. He is a sailor. You know, he was born into a pirate family. So I constantly wanted to reference water and stuff like that. But I was also aware of the fact that that time is wrong in many different ways. For one thing, Caspian is experiencing like walking around and talking to River and moving through this thing, but he's laying in a thing. How long is he laying there for? 8 hours, I think, is what I have down for the ritual, because I wanted each episode. It's because it was going to be 8 episodes. That was the only thing I looked up about it, you know, or like wrote down about how long the ritual takes. But he's kind of in like an altered state, which is much longer than I think an ayahuasca trip is. But he's sort of in this altered state for about 8 hours with the shaman and Indralaya. Also, River went through this with Caspian as a young man as well. Also, the fact that Caspian is in this 19, but in real life is like, how old is he?
Hey, didn't fucking Neil
60s?
Brennan? Didn't fucking Neil Brennan just recently talk about the fact that he did like ayahuasca and he was fucking his mind was like fucking altered for like a long time.
They get lost. People still they get trapped in these trips for a really long time. I
also thank you, Anonymous, for the 33.
I have no idea what it's like to take drugs that put you into an altered state. But if I did, then yeah, I would like to represent it. Yeah, I've not done anything like ayahuasca, but I have had this feeling as well, where you don't know how long it's been or whether you're still in it. I looked into a lot of stuff with ayahuasca in particular and these kinds of trips. For one thing, the shadows that are chasing you, they're obviously a representation of depression. Like, it's an on the nose, it's a shadow, you can't get rid of it, and it's chasing you, and no matter how many times you defeat it, it comes back around. You have to be on it. It's about slowly getting away from it and building up your strength and stuff like that. But also, it was a direct reference to the fact that a lot of people like see shadows and stuff when they're on ayahuasca trips. They lots of people report, you know, even groups that are in the same room will report of like shadow people and stuff, and they all saw the same person and that kind of thing, which I always find is very interesting. Could be used very easily in like a Cthulhu-esque campaign and in a horror way. So the shadows chasing you were an obvious nod to, I think, the depression element, which was the dungeon you were in, the lethargy and the depression, but was also a reference to people just witnessing weird stuff on ayahuasca. But yeah, the timeline of the whole show is like Caspian and River spent 25 years together after this point. You know, this is Caspian sort of remembers his journey with River. He takes the form of being about 19 in this show, but they're 15 when they undertake their own bonding, and he's 60 or so, somewhere in his early 60s, when he's doing the actual ritual in the real world while this experience is happening. There is so much time, and also memories, the fact that these memories exist, like, they're immortal. They exist outside of time now, because as long as there's someone for you to pass this memory on to, as long as that they undertake the bonding in some way, then, you know, time doesn't matter. Some of the things I was mentioning were more just to do with the fact that it really doesn't matter how long Caspian spends in this subconscious place, recalling his memories and taking his time, because
time is an experience, not a force, of time. Like gravity.
They're outside of time. It is true, yeah.
They don't even have to be outside of time. Yeah. You know, time is an experience. It's not a force like gravity.
Exactly,
so
and he isn't experiencing it in the way that it is being imposed upon him by the reality of Solmira, as time is passing. 8 hours does technically pass.
If you're lurking, there is a cat on the screen. And she's so cute.
And the last thing is that, again, I always wanted to.
No longer speak.
I wanted to constantly sort of bring it back to the fact that Caspian is a monk. He is an accomplished monk. Like, I imagine if Caspian existed in our real world on Earth with us, he'd be one of these guys that's writing these amazing books, or like is revered like Buddhist masters, these Tibetan Buddhist masters that we read all of these books about and have these books of really interesting quotes. Or maybe, like, I don't know, maybe it would be like he'd be like a philosopher of some sort, but he would be on that level, I would imagine. And it, you know, they spend a lot of time meditating and just sitting with their thoughts and thinking stuff over. There's no rush to any of those guys. They are all about experiencing everything as long as it takes and coming to their conclusions slowly, thinking it through, understanding, reaching nirvana type stuff. So, you know, they're trying to push through. I'm pressuring them as a DM to push through, but the actual NPCs that they encounter are like, chill out. This is what you do, Caspian. You're like the master of this. You don't realize it. You're Neo in this scenario when it comes to like Buddhist stuff.
All he can think of the entire time is how he's failing.
Yeah, but again, this is one of the reasons I wanted him to be like 19 in a way, is that
thank you for the 50 Debiru for Boo Boo. Oh.
I wanted you to be able to have that kind of like, if I had thrown upon the both of you that you're both masters of wisdom and, you know, epic philosophers, it's incredibly difficult to roleplay. You know, it becomes so much more difficult. So you're just running around and you are what you are, and it really doesn't matter because the truth is the Caspian on the outside. The next question was Aquasnake's question. Was there a reason for the age gap between them? Yes. I mean, they what is their age gap? 32 years, I think. I just thought it was.
You not make it 33?
I don't think I calculated it that stringently until we were already going.
Anonymous for the 10. Love everything you do. Thank you. Thank you.
I had to really figure out their timeline at one point, and it wasn't before the show began. It was somewhere in the beginning. I had to be like, okay, what is the exact timeline here? Because there was a few things I was like, this isn't going to add up. But yeah, before the show, when I wanted them, I really wanted the Obi-Wan Luke Skywalker kind of feeling. When PB said to me, and I put in my notes, PB said, I said to PB at the end, I'll tell you who I was really making, because PB was like, you're making me, and I was like, not really, no.
Oh yeah.
It just worked out that way. I knew that you'd be able to sort of role play this pretty well, but I actually was trying to make you kind of Qui-Gon. Because Qui-Gon has a really different relationship with the Force and like the Jedi and all of that kind of thing. And I was like looking at this when I was building this.
Probably keep an eye on Indrelaya.
I was like thinking about like how River approaches this religion and this world and this stuff, and she would just be so outside of it. And like when you look at some of like the Star Wars lore and stuff, like Qui-Gon is like really different to everyone. He's like all about the Force. He doesn't give us much of a fuck about the council and their like creed and stuff like that. He's just like, he's like super Force holistic. And I was like, I feel like these two would be like that. You'd have
saying
this...
that Qui-Gon is a woo-woo girl.
He's very much a woo-woo master. But like, I just feel like River would be like that. She comes from outside and she still has a wanderlust. She's very happy to have found this place. She knows that she's found where she's meant to be when she gets here and she meets Meridia. But she's still holding on to a lot of her past. And that's like the point of her, is that how do you get a master of these kind of Buddhist techniques from someone who comes from a potentially difficult background? And has already had to make so many hard and weird decisions, and has already traveled and is lost, and then just naturally finds their place and knows that they feel at home, but is still figuring that out. It has to be someone who has a strong sense of reason and purpose that is brought in from something like this. And it's kind of what Qui-Gon's whole thing is. He's like fucking borderline a bad guy a lot of the time. He's about to fucking dark side out at any moment. But he has just such a strong belief in like the Force and stuff. And I feel like River kind of probably has that same thing. This was weird for me as well, by the way. I wanted to kind of go off on this more towards the end of the question. I just wanted to bang out all the questions and then get into some of this other stuff. But since we're here, we can. One of the weirdest things about this is writing characters for you two to play and then handing them over to you and then being like, do what you want, because it's really weird to do that. And in a way, these characters feel like my characters, but they're also yours. And then now we have this thing, which is the bond, where I created them and then handed them to you. And if you interpreted them differently, or you said something different, or if I gave you like a list of basically just bullet points, that character, not the character sheets, but the information and the timeline, I gave them a timeline on their characters, and was like, it's just a bunch of bullet points. It isn't like prose or anything. I just went, they did this, they did this. Caspian was this, he was born here, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened, this happened. And just tried to do that for both of their characters and then hand it to them, because I wanted to just let you interpret the rest of it. And I didn't know as well if at the end of episode 7 we would have these ideas of these characters that had come through, that we would then be able to like meld into what was the bullet points that I had provided. So I really tried not to flesh them out too much, but also needed them. It's so hard to make
because a
show like this without knowing who my characters are and what they are. So so very much was a Qui-Gon character kind of approach for me with River. That was kind of who I was building. But I wanted to present Qui-Gon in an Obi-Wan way. So I wanted River to be older than Caspian. And it also just made sense that River had lived quite a long life before making this choice.
Yeah.
It's a bit like not wanting kids and then suddenly you want kids, but you're 58. You're like, what the fuck do I do? With River, she has kids at like 60, 70, 60, something like that, because she can. Because
that reveal was so good and punched me right in the emotional gut.
One of the things I thought about them is that they aren't afraid of death in that way. They will always be connected to their
they will always
children. They will always have these connections with the ones that they love, and they know that
assholes.
parts of them, will always be able to be passed on. I thought about it a lot because, again, like I mentioned, I think I mentioned it at the end last week. Like they don't have books.
You haven't watched Next Generation, right?
Is this in it? Is it already been done?
No. So they explore memory in like a lot of different ways throughout the course of that show. They have I'm pretty sure this was Next Generation. I know there's a bunch of Star Trek nerds in here. But there's one episode that I think it's Next Generation, where there's a community where the kids are like super fucking smart, and they are basically like prodigies, and they transfer their knowledge like after they've had their prodigal experience. They transfer their knowledge into the community and somebody else takes it, and then they live like a very simple life. They have just what is essentially like like, hey, they're just gonna play. Like they're just going to play, and they're not going to have any complicated thoughts, but they took this incredible, prodigious experience that they had and they gave it to somebody else. And they explore memory in a bunch of different ways. So it made me think about all that stuff when we were doing the show. I was trying to remember all those episodes where they do it, and they do it in many different ways throughout the course of the show.
Yeah, it's a super fun
like one of my
thought.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's a fun like little thought experiment, that I've had this whole time. Carry on.
Yeah, it's really good. One of my favorite episodes, Picard is like standing on the bridge and has an encounter with something or someone or a being or entity or whatever, and then he collapses and then wakes up somewhere else in another kind of planet, he thinks, right? And then he's waiting for them to come and rescue him, and they never do, and he just lives out the rest of his life. And then at the end of the episode, he wakes back up on the bridge, and it's the fucking Reddit story, the lamp, where he just lived his whole life, and then died, and then woke up, and it wasn't a real life, and then he has to grieve all of that. It's really good.
Yeah, I love those kinds of stories. I sort of considered like that's sort of what the last episode of this was meant to be, as quickly as I could fucking do it. It's very hard to do in 2.5 hours.
It was very good. It was very good.
But yeah, I mean, that was the point of their age gap. It was also just I wanted Caspian to be very young because the reveal is that he's actually very old. It's just a fun play with time again, where you go, wow, River's been dead for ages and Caspian is old.
But also it's like this idea
Caspian
of
is doing exactly this thing that he was doing with River, and that's why it hurts him so much. That's why he's remembering River so clearly, and he's going through the grief again, because he is the next stage. You're at the next stage in the cycle. Anyway,
Oh, it's also just kind of like you don't really you perceive yourself as you're kind of like, whenever your brain hits the moment of like, I don't want to say it solidifies into your identity, but usually you don't really update your version of yourself in your head.
Your little
right? Like you kind of have this idea.
You have
this like idea. Yeah, you have this idea of yourself, and usually it's like, your dream self. They kind of call it. It's always kind of the same.
I think of it as like it's like V1. Everything before that is like the alpha, and then the beta. And you're just like, you're vaguely becoming you, but then version 1 of you drops, And
Yeah.
like, you know, you can be
Yeah.
whatever age, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 25, 30. But
Yeah.
you, and then
And
from
then
then you're like, you know,
And of course, he would remember River towards the end of her life, right? Like, because that was, that was the most recent, I guess, in his head. So he would see himself as whatever his Matrix persona is, and then
If I feel like I don't necessarily agree with that. I think for me, in my experience, I latched strongly onto specific memories that were like very intense for whatever reason. It's more. It feels like it's more like that for me. I don't know if I agree with that for Caspian,
Yeah.
but I tend to remember like specific events that I feel shaped my perspective and insight into that person. So
yeah. But if you remember a person that is no longer with you, what do you first recall? The last time you saw them, right? Or like,
I
no?
do not.
Oh
No.
wow.
And because I've lost a lot of family members through the years.
Yeah. I
Um,
remember kind of like, at least at first, unless it's a specific memory that I'm remembering, but even then, and maybe this is my aphantasia or whatever the fuck come into play here, but even then, sometimes if I'm remembering a time before before kind of the last time, they'll still look a little bit like they did in my most recent fresh memory. I'm unable to recall exactly what she looked at 16.
Might be.
But I know what she looked like at 20 or something
What
like
about
that.
you,
know?
Brad?
Yeah, this is interesting.
I have, I can kind of have, I have kind of both of those things.
Mm.
I have version 1.
Way to ride the fence.
I
Get
know.
over here.
But I mean, this is always the way. You're always either side of some form of spectrum, and I'm always in the middle, like, yeah, I kind of do a little of that and a little of that. I'm just a horrible little fucking. I don't exist. I'm a weird little changeling. I'm a little mimic and a thieving little imposter who doesn't deserve love.
Okay.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No,
Wow.
I remember hitting like V1. I remember becoming suddenly conscious and going online. And then I also feel like I hit these moments where like my OS updated to like V2 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also have like...
Or like fragments, like certain decades, you remember V2, and that's the one that always comes up.
Oh my
in your
God.
V1 did
thoughts
not
and
come
stuff.
online for me for a long
It's just hit it. You hit it about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, no, I remember that quite well. But I also have like these like pillars of memory that are just very solid. And then just like, I don't know, people and stuff. But some people I remember very clearly. Some people I remember as like a feeling, you know?
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I think I'm just kind of all over the place. My memory is destroyed as well, though. This is the other thing, is that like my mind is annihilated from trauma and drugs.
Yeah.
Just like it is so patchy and it is so random. Like I can remember things from being very, very young very clearly, and then like I remember stuff that is just a big blob of nothingness. And then,
Dude, I
it's so
experienced
random.
the actual nothing from Neverending Story. That's what happens to me. Like,
Yeah, just a nothing.
and
a
every
void.
year I get older, the nothing creeps for the, closer to my actual age of memory.
The fog of war.
No,
in
I'm
my
serious,
brain
Wax. So
is-
like when I was in, like just out of high school, I could remember, a bunch of stuff. And then the older I get now, I fucking ask me if I remember anything in high school. Absolutely nothing. The nothing has consumed it. Every memory ran for the hills and got consumed by the nothing for sure. Save for maybe a
Mine's
few
totally
that I
random.
can recall.
totally random. It's super annoying.
Okay, so
Uh-huh.
my brain works way differently. Okay, like I lost my grandparents fairly early on. My grandmother I lost when I was 13, I think. And she died from Alzheimer's. And
Oh, my Lord.
yeah, so like the thing that I most remember about her was her happiness when she was feeding us. I remember like when
wow.
she made a meal and she was so happy that we loved it. Like I saw glee on her face. Like,
Can you
she was
actually
so-
like visualize that?
Yes, perfectly.
Oh wow.
I
Wow.
remember sitting down at the table. I remember the material of the table, like the laminate table that was, you know, their kitchen table, and you know, I remember like where it was, and you know, like I remember all of that. So I latch on to these memories that, like to me, that was her personality.
Yeah. Well, I have that with some memories. Like I remember what would be my first memory. Like it's like a movie. Like the angle is looking up. I see my sister's high chair. I see my sister in the high chair, you know, like, and she's eating baby food and I want it. Like I want the plum baby food. Like that's what I remember. But also the lighting was like yellow and cream, and everything kind of just had this like weird yellow
Finding
tint
out
to
why
it.
she became a photographer right now.
Yeah, for real though. But yeah, I can see all of that. I mean, I guess it's more vague. When I say I can see all of that, I have learned now that doesn't mean what it means to the rest of you.
Is yours third person or first person?
It's first person. Like I can see the, you know, like, yeah, the angle's up because I'm looking up. Yeah. But not all my memories are like that.
Lady Arcana was saying third person, and I was like, I didn't get that. I was seeing it in first person.
Yeah,
that's the way that I remember stuff too, is first person.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
I remember first person.
I don't always remember first person.
The confabulation is like a big thing where your brain fills in the rest, and my imagination is so good that I'm like, maybe I don't remember this. Maybe I sort of remember a vague area, and then my brain is filled in the rest with. Well,
most certainly that is what has happened. Yeah,
I
everything that you think you remember perfectly is altered in some way.
I mean,
and it's
maybe,
like every time
other people have photographic memories, and I've no memory. I've no.
They say that's not a thing anymore. I don't think, but they have the ability. You know, I think the way that the mind works and. The way the mind works in general is that every time you're recalling that memory, you're actually like you're firing your imagination and you're regenerating it.
Prompting so it's the AI in your brain to
regenerate it. Yeah. And so sometimes, you know, the more you do that, the more the chances that small details might be changing over time.
Oh, which is why I don't remember anything from my childhood.
Yeah.
Because I don't ever try and think about it.
Yeah, the study that I remember reading was like, it's actually technically the memories you don't think of very often are probably more accurate when you recall them than the ones that you think about all the time.
Well, thank you for the existential crisis.
Okay.
Kiorki, thank you so much for the 20. Thank you. Shadow, thank you for the 50.
Baby food when she was like 2.
Anonymous, thank you for the hundo. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Thank you.
My first memory isn't until I'm like 5, so I'm real late to that. And it was my sister being born, which is quite a nice one to remember, really.
Oh, that is nice.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Oh my God, I feel like that. If anything has revealed you as a paladin in real life, it was that.
I mean, my first memory was me like killing,
trying to steal my sister's baby food. You know, fucking Sith Jedi right there.
I remember I was at my grandma's, and my dad, of all people, came to my grandma's, which was my home. And was like, you have a baby sister and she's been born and she's this and she's that. And I was like, oh, sick, this is cool. And I was like, can I go see her or whatever? And my dad was like, not yet. And that was kind of it. And I had to stay at my grandma's again that night. And I just remember like just yapping to my grandma. Like I remember being in my nan and granddad's bed. Both of them were like going to sleep. And I was like, and I'm going to do this and we're going to go, and I'm going to, so, you know. I remember it. I remember yapping to them. And but I remember, like, weirdly enough, I remember the lighting of my dad coming through the door. It was so bright because my gran had like this little like fucking hovel home, And like as he opened up, like all of this light was behind him. It was super warm light, and I was so excited, and it like really framed this moment for me. And he was
my
like, "You have a sister,
God.
and she's healthy, and your mum's fine, and all that."
So-
And he was
Baby
just telling
Brad
me
is as cute as the cat. I'm
Yes.
losing my shit.
Yeah, that's my
Have
first
a cute
memory. It's the first
aggression.
memory, and I remember sitting
Should
in
I-
my gran and grandpa's bed, just between them, being like, blah 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 blah. It's like fucking Elmo.
I wonder
meme.
after I say mine, what my first memory is if this is revealing.
Yeah, let me get. I'll cue up some evil music. I don't know. What
Yeah,
do you?
let's go.
Okay,
Let's go.
So
Ready?
first memory I have is when it was on the first day of kindergarten for myself, and it was my birthday. I just turned 5 for my birthday.
I don't think I want to know this. I think
And-
this is-
Yep.
we,
This is already
gonna make
super
me cry.
revealing. Yep.
so
Let's go on.
so the way the school was laid out, there was like a roundabout in front of the school, and then there were stairs that led down to a parking lot, and there was like a long driveway that also went around to the parking lot. And it was recess, or like there was a short recess or something before school actually started for the day. So like kids were playing outside before school started, like early in the morning, and my mom dropped me off before work. We go down the stairs. My mom is telling me like, it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get along with everybody, make friends, whatever. So the first thing I tried to do was make friends.
Oh
Go
no.
down the stairs, try to make friends. Of course, the person that I try to make friends with is a bully.
Oh
So,
no.
Immediately, he sets me up
hmm
for a joke on me.
What a dick.
One of the other kids
How old are
sneaks
you?
up behind me. 5. The other kid sneaks around from behind me, does that thing where, you know, he's resting on his
Yeah.
knees and his hands, pushes me over the other kid. That's my first
Jesus.
memory.
Jesus Christ, that's horrible. That is terrible. I will say I have a memory of my best friend when I moved back from Japan, because I had a similar experience where I had a really hard time making friends because I bowed when they introduced you in class, and that's a thing they do in Japan, but not the United States. And nobody thought it was, nobody thought to tell me at 10 years old to be like, hey, don't do the thing where it's like, it's so nice to meet you, and give your full fucking name and your class rank and then bow at the end. Like, don't do that. Nobody thought to say we don't do that here in the States. Anyway, it ruined my life as a kid, and nobody wanted to be my friend. And my best friend that I ended up, convincing to be my friend, said to me, go suck an egg. That was the first thing she said to me when I was like, hey, can I sit here? And she said that. And then I was like, you will be my friend. Go suck an egg. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I just sat down and was like, fucking determined.
And that's why PB became a vegan.
Challenge accepted.
Can't eat eggs.
You would
That's why
be my
PB
friend.
became a vegan for a long time.
Yep.
All right. Well, next question.
Did you see the one in the chat? Because it's really good.
We'll get to it.
Okay. I just want to make sure you saw it.
Yeah. I did.
All right.
I messaged PP to send me it, and he has. It says that he's blocked me, I guess.
Oh, okay. No idea why.
You put it in the admin channel.
I know.
He's just
I'm
making up
using the
lies.
other channel to read these from. That's all. It's just harder for me to find today. It's all good. Akipa says, did the various people they meet have once living counterparts, or were they some kind of manifestation of a more vague concepts? I imagine that we sort of already answered this, but the people who were in Hector's crew are like weird extrapolations of very early Caspian memories to the best of his ability. The witch is completely made up, but is maybe some sort of like play on Old River and Old Meridia, something like that. But is also the shaman who is currently doing the ritual for him. The people who the sort of the cultists in the stomach in the boiling volcano area are the other monks who are there are 3 islands that make up Nemaskera, the Nemaskeran Islands. There's the first island, which is Nui, the second, which is Li, and then the third, which is Pirinti. And Pirinti Island is a caldera volcano, which is kind of flat and open but active. And then the monks there are like an ancient sect of monks that branched off from the Nemaskaran Leviathan believers and became fire believers, and are very aggressive and hyper defensive of their island, and they're kind of in their own little private war with the Nemaskaran monks, but they are the monks who they worship fire, and they're violent and they're evil, and that is why Caspian sort of sees them as just like weird, horrible, evil cultists. But I imagine there's no way that this campaign, if I ran a campaign that was the entire campaign of Caspian and River's lives and was their own D&D campaign, there was definitely a Pirinti Island arc in there somewhere.
Cool.
So I imagine that these characters probably are real characters from Caspian's experience. You know, he probably did meet those characters, but again, they would have, I don't know how twisted and different they would have been. They're also the monks that crashed Caspian's ship, probably.
Oh, wow.
You know, like really, it's like, you know, does Caspian know this? I don't know. But when I wrote Caspian's background, I think I put that the Tideworm sailed to this island, which would have been something that Caspian would have known. They went to Pirinti Island first, and then because what I was thinking about, so partially these islands are a little bit based on like the Hawaiian Islands and those Polynesian islands around there. And I was thinking about, is it Captain Cook who goes to those islands? I studied this because I studied weirdly in university. I studied Polynesian art and feather hats and stuff. But there's like a story of like
Black Sails.
And yeah, and there's a story of like one of the ships, I think it was Captain Cook's ship, goes to an early Polynesian island. They bring them on to the island, and then they just fucking kill them all. Like the Polynesian inhabitants just kill all the people on this boat, and they run for their lives, and they get on this boat and sail out. And I think that's what happened with Caspian's ship. The Pirinti Island monks, you know, they're incredibly defensive of their island. These pirates show up. They're like, oh, this looks like somewhere we can go. They've been lost at sea and adrift for all this time. They pull up on this island. These guys are like, fuck no. They fuck up all these pirates. The pirates barely make it out. Their ship is damaged, maybe burning. They sail as far out as they can. They don't know where they're going. They don't know that the other two Nemaskaran islands are nearby because these pirates are lost. Their ship sinks. Caspian washes up on the Nemaskaran island of Lee or Nui and joins those monks. So that's his early background story. So I imagine those guys probably are real characters from Caspian and River's story. And then are there even any others? There's Meridia, who's real. Just a real person. She's fully realized for River because River actually met her, whereas Caspian never did.
Yeah. I wondered
Caspian
afterwards.
maybe did. I don't know if their timeline crosses. He maybe did know her, but I don't know how many people are really on these islands either. I don't know if it's a very tight-knit community. It probably is, but I'm not sure. I think that's it for the NPCs, really. There isn't any more, is there? Am I forgetting any? I don't know. But generally speaking, I imagine that there are kind of vague counterparts, but some of it is obviously confabulation from Caspian. It's in his head. What was the significance of the roots with and without the flowers? One, it was that I think when I looked it up, like ayahuasca has flowers on, but they're not pink or something like that when I first read it, or they are, or something like that. But originally I was going to have a quest where you had to very carefully cultivate these vines and figure out which ones were which, and it was going to be ones with the pink flowers that you were going to be able to use to do something. It was very early on, but pink is just a hue of red, and I just wanted it to represent the wrong one again. But yeah, it's just an ayahuasca reference again. At one point, the juice, I think, or maybe it was the water, was said to have a slight tobacco taste to it. What's that about? That's apparently what ayahuasca tastes like. It always tastes like ayahuasca. I looked up how does it actually taste? Every time they drink something, it always tastes like ayahuasca or salt water if they're drinking the salt water. Are they part of a much larger group, or is it a small sect that only ever has a couple of members? One a master and one apprentice. This may have been answered in the last episode. No, I don't think it was. I have a bunch of info. I don't know what to do with it. These two have it. I gave them all of the information I fucking wrote down. It's not an enormous amount of information on the Nemaskaran monks, and then their two characters with the bullet points. They all do it. I think everyone on the island does this bonding thing. I think it's just it's how they pass down all of their information. I think one of the things that I was interested in is if you could just pass down literal, like, your brain, like you can take your hard drive of your brain out and just put it into your children, or maybe like, you know, a disciple or someone in the next generation. You wouldn't even need to like write stuff.
I wanted to know what horrors PB just imagined as like specific memories.
No, she was thinking
did not
Soma
want
shit.
anybody
You
to
went
see.
in Soma where your brain is removed and you an AI of you was created.
Ooh, this
that
is
was
a
perfect.
fun game.
Is that where your brain went?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
You were thinking Soma type horror fear of your brain being removed and placed into someone else's.
I was
Right.
thinking
And you thought
you thought of specific memories that you
you would
didn't
never
want
want
people
to
to see.
share.
No, I don't want to see my parents having sex. That was what I thought.
So I was right.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like, again, they don't pass down like all of their memories, right? It's not like they're uninstalling their actual hard drive and passing it down to the next generation. They do pick a very specific memory that you get 1-1. Which is the memory that is part of the ritual. But yeah, they don't get that. Either way, I was thinking though that one of the things that you do get is you do get passive skills and stuff. So imagine that your master is like a master fisherman. Once you undertake this, you may never have seen a fish before in your life, but you do get either a natural affinity to fishing, or you have some understanding. So you do pass down some level of skill, some level of wisdom. You pass down like history, knowledge. There is an element to it where you get a little more than the individual memory. So
when he learned
Draconic?
the languages, but it's just left my brain.
He either got
When he
some of
learned
it
Draconic,
straight from you, or it was
it could have been either way. Oh,
he gets
that's
like
so cool.
an XP boost to learning it.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Which is so then I was thinking about this culture, and which is why they don't.
Do you have that written down? Write that the fuck down. That is super cool. We have to make that a mechanic, right?
What, the XP boost thing?
Yeah, all that shit.
With
Do
the
you
skill?
write it down?
Well,
Write it down.
It is written down in here.
It's so
somewhere, I
fucking
think.
good, dude.
Yeah, this is how they work though. But because this is why whenever you were writing stuff or whenever you were dealing with script, there was never any like actual text. It was always just like, it was vague. And I said to you when we were doing like the calligraphy, it was simple kanji type style looking stuff, very simple script, because neither of them can really write properly. I think River probably can, and maybe because of that Caspian can, but the people on the islands don't really use books. They use stories maybe. Back in the day, before we had all this, all you had was the oldest guy in the village telling you what happened before. And that's how knowledge was passed down, right? And like then we didn't have, no one could read, no one had access to books and stuff unless you were a noble, unless you went to school. So a lot of old villages all over the world and stuff just passed down knowledge, and it was the oldest guy in town who was 26 and then he died of old age. And I was thinking about that with these guys, and I was like, man, they probably don't really develop that kind of thing. They have stories, they have maybe some pictures and stuff, but they don't need it because they all know it in their fucking heads. They've got hundreds, thousands of years, I don't know, of knowledge that is just being passed down, and skills. They don't care about knowledge, they've got skills. That is what I was thinking of with these guys. So this would be why there isn't just one master and one apprentice type situation. They would all be doing this. This is a thing that everyone in the village does. Everyone undertakes the bonding at some point. I don't think they pressure anyone into it. They're not like, they're very chill. Nemaskara are very chill. Pyrinti are very not chill. I think if you don't want to do it, you don't. I don't think that they care exactly. I think they would potentially be like, well, that's lots of lost information or whatever, but I don't think it's the type, it's not like a cult that they push on you. But I also think there's something to it that if you come to this island, you're meant to be. It's a little bit the Lost Island. River is meant to be here. Caspian is meant to be here. And the reason is that you bring something and you pass it down, and then you know, live forever. I think that's it for the Discord questions. We had then we have
Remember
the question
when Brad said that was only going to take a little.
Yep. I do. I sure do.
It just felt like there wasn't.
Sure
I don't know.
do.
It's the same thing I always have where I'm like, this isn't that interesting.
No one wants to listen. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Silly.
Matthew, 12K. So this was the question that you wanted, right? Was there any unlock that the players were afraid to unlock that will make it more difficult, make harder to play role, or there was a fear that it will go the opposite way than they hoped? Yeah, was you thinking that on your side of things?
No, I mean, yes and no. There were things I wasn't scared to unlock them, but I thought, well, that'll be cool. That will kind of guide me one way or the other. But in terms of actually being going away, we hope, I don't think either Whack or I feel that way about the character. We're just in wherever the character is presently. My concern was that I'd unlock something and I would feel like I role-played the character wrong up until that point, you know?
Yeah.
I think there were one or two where I was like, oh, fuck, this is gonna...
I think I said to you right in the
really...
beginning, like the two of you, like, it doesn't matter how you play this.
You did, but
because
that doesn't mean our brains don't. Yeah,
no, but
get on you.
I was like, I think you would. I would be
think you're
super.
Talking to, Brad?
I would be
telling
super.
Us not to worry.
Super conscious of it as well. But I also knew that like there would be this rubber band effect that would like you would just be snapped into reality at some point. So it didn't. You couldn't do it wrong. It doesn't make sense that Caspian, you know, he's not going to remember everything 1-1 and just become Caspian. You know, it doesn't matter how he remembers all of this because he's just on a fucking weird drug trip. You see all sorts of weird shit. But, you know, yeah, I knew you would be afraid of that. It's exactly what I would probably be the most afraid of as well.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. I wasn't scared of any of this stuff. It was just, I don't want to, like, make this shitty. It's really the only motivation.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? What else do we have? I have my notes.
April has one.
Okay, go on then. What is it?
What was one thing that surprised you about this show, in and out of the show?
Me?
All of us, all three of us. But yes, you may start. Imagine you have it fresh in your brain.
I am quite surprised that it made as much sense as it did.
Oh.
Because this is...
So, imposter syndrome.
I know. I'm trying not to have imposter syndrome about this show because I am really happy with it. I'm actually very happy with what I wrote, how I came to it. It feels like... it's the thing I said about Gone, how if I hadn't watched a lot of media about this kind of subject, or if I hadn't played in Gone, if I had not played in Gone, like it would have been one thing to watch it, but being in that show and watching you actually like produce something in this way, because this is it's the same thing. It's the same mystery box kind of storytelling, the pacing, the tone, and all of that. Multiple themes going on throughout it, whilst also providing a game to play through. I would not be able to have done this, simply put, end of story, without not just Gone, but other shows and books and shit and games that I've read that were like this. I mean, I just played as well. It was really useful because I had just played Expedition 33, which is the same thing. It's the exact same style of storytelling. Lost is the same style of storytelling. This one is very similar to Gone in that it's about memory. But I don't know. I just didn't think like when I just started writing this, like I hit that moment with Liam in the car where I was like, okay, this is it. And that was the 2-week gun. You know, it was literally on, I think, a Saturday morning. So it would have been the Saturday 2 weeks before. That's when the fucking hard writing of this went down. And I was like, okay, this is it. And I just was like, this is not going to be as good as I want it to be in my head because I just don't have time. And there's no way that this isn't at the end of it going to be just like not what I want it to be, you know, at the end. And it was simply put at the end of it. I'm very happy with it. I can't,
so hard to do.
I can't imagine it being that much better. I couldn't really make it that much tighter, really. It's, you know, it's insanely difficult to do as it is with any of our shows to have any coherence. It's amazing when they come out at the end and you're like, that made sense. That's enough. Yeah, that's on its own is a miracle every time.
Yeah. Everything's tied up. What?
So yeah, when I put down like all the stuff, like I've explained tonight, like all of the different layers that I wanted you guys to struggle with as the mystery element, I wanted to make sure that people couldn't just guess it online, you know, and it wasn't instantly like figure outable, but was satisfying in some way. I wanted it to have a lot of meaning. I wanted it to feel like something that all three of us could connect to, and maybe other people could connect to. I wanted it to feel the same as Gone, but not be a fucking ripoff. I wanted it to feel the same as, you know, like reading those books when we were young and stuff like that. And I wanted it to be not a hopeful story, but I just didn't want it to be a sad story.
Yeah,
but I wanted it to be an exploration of grief. How the fuck do you do that? And I really wanted to just explore a slightly different side of memories. I wanted to explore a different side of how these characters have these happy endings and they live to be old and they have a full life and they have hope and they enjoyed their experience and they just, you know, they did all this stuff. And, you know, I didn't want it to be tragic, you know, I didn't want it to be a tragedy. I wanted it to be, you know, fulfilling for everyone, which is hard for me to do a lot of the time because I'm like, well, nothing. I don't believe in that. It's not possible. Just to correct
you there, that's hard for anyone to do because you can't please everyone all the time.
I'm sure there's people that would hate this, you know, whatever. But for me, I think, you know, the thing that surprised me about this show is that not only did I do it, but I actually am really happy with it. And there was a lot in it, a lot more in it, a lot more substance, and a lot more than I realized I was capable of packing in. And I think, that my favorite moment though is, it's annoying really, but it's crazy that I'm actually genuinely proud of myself and happy with this show. I'm very happy with it. But my favorite moment had nothing to do with me. It was just watching you two. I went, you don't know anything about yourselves. You're in a cold, dark room. And then I shut up for an hour. And it was fucking awesome to watch. It was fucking amazing. The best bit of the show. I didn't have to write a fucking thing for it. I just went, this is what you know, go. Oh God, it was so interesting to watch.
But it's your setup. It's the music that you were playing. It's the things that you said or didn't say, you know?
I love
like all that stuff puts us in the immersive space where we can
it was just such a
play
great
that way.
I think as well, like, because I knew what was going on, just watching you guys deal with the Phyllis, it was like putting a thought experiment in front of you two. Was just fun for me,
and then role play the thought experiment.
Just so interesting to watch. I loved it. So that's my long-winded answer. Do you have answers?
I do.
Question. Okay.
I feel like I stopped the show or the post show when this happened to just gush about it, so I won't go super crazy about it because you'll have already heard me. But the first thing that came to mind was when the Leviathan sound went after that. That was such a very cool, gave me a very childlike wonder and excitement in the middle of a game. I felt very cool. I felt like, that's like how you're supposed to feel when you play D&D is, you know, your DM makes you feel like that. So that one surprised me in game. And then out of game just now, actually, when Brad said that the Leviathan was absolutely just a, I mean, I felt like it was a red herring, but the reason why he said it was a red herring was not the reason that I thought it was. So that was fun. And I don't know if I should say what I thought it was because it's technically a spoiler to one of our other things. So I won't. Probably better. Anyway, those were my surprises.
My biggest surprise was the mentor relationship when that dawned on me, which I don't know if I deduced it. I feel like I didn't. I think it just came up at whatever point it happened. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And it was like, I should have realized that, and it still got me. I think that was the biggest moment. And just the general, I mean, the obvious one, which is like, hey, this is an ayahuasca, this is a transferring of memories. Yeah, I think those.
That's very cool. I also was really surprised by the revelation or the idea that, people could live like almost simulacrum style. People can live inside this world and think that they are living, breathing things, but really they're just someone's memory of a person. Oh,
don't go down this existential.
Oh, okay.
Because I can do an entire one of these on there.
It's horrific. But yeah, I mean, it is a thing. But then that is one of the other things that I spent a little time trying to come up with like really interesting fucking intros. I wrote 7 interesting intros, and then the last one was just a who are we but our memories. And in trying to sit and just fucking write, it's pure writing. When you're doing pure writing, it's just this is me trying to do poetry. This is me trying to write something with meaning from my soul onto this fucking bullshit fucking Google Doc.
And then white page for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is
oh
the part
man,
that
you know what would
means-
help? What if I went down and I got out of Starbucks and then you get
This
hit by a
is the
car and then you're
part
like, I got
that
it.
Fucking
I know exactly what to
means
write now.
Shouldn't hit me. The
Yep,
car.
literally,
Yeah,
the car hit me.
But like one of the
I got this in
things
the
that
bag.
I touched on, and I don't know where I put it in here, but it's in here somewhere, is like the idea that River is a ghost. And then what is a ghost? In this whole thing, River is real, but is also not real. River is...
I feel like you talked about this on your stream.
A ghost?
In a roundabout way.
Yeah. There was so many times I was talking on my stream about this show, but I couldn't admit it. Because I was deep in it. I was deep in the philosophy of this show for a lot. But what is a ghost? What is an echo? What is the difference between what River is, in that she is partially realized in this subconscious of Caspian because she's a real memory. So this isn't a memory of a memory. This is an actual memory that she tangibly took out of her brain and put into his. Copy pasted, that whole thing. Like who's a real person or whatever. And I found that super interesting to think about. Like, is this in a way horrific? And I was trying not to make this show. I wanted the show to be neutral. I didn't want it to be bad or evil or sad or like, oh god, she's trapped in his brain. Like it's not like
Thank
that.
you for the tips, everybody. We're getting close to the last goal.
Yeah, God, who
But
would
it is
do
a-
that?
It is a thing.
Thank you,
to
Anonymous.
think
Thank you,
about.
Bear of Flame. Thank you, Bill of the Forest.
Thank you.
Yeah, those bits of writing that I did for the beginning were hard. Those were the hardest bits every week. The first one, I wanted it to feel. I just wanted so badly to
We're
emulate
$150 away.
how it felt to play
From
Disco
the trailer?
Elysium.
Sorry, I'm so sorry, Brad.
No, it's all good.
150 away?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
I know you're bored of me talking about Unknown.
We're not.
almost
We're
done.
not.
I'm almost
not.
through it, and I swear to God, I'll never speak about it again.
No. That's not what
I
we're
swear to
feeling.
God,
We're
I'll
just-
never speak about it again.
Okay.
I'm sick of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat and tried to write these fucking things. I had to put myself in the worst place for a couple of them. It's like, you ever have to do that to yourself? It's borderline self-harm for the art of it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if this is how you need to do this, but I do sometimes. Like, I
Yeah,
cannot
sometimes.
get into the space I need to be in without diving in.
Yeah.
I had to dive in a couple times. And the worst one was the one Whack interrupted. Do you remember when Whack interrupted
Yeah, and you were
one
like,
of them? And I was
you were
like,
gonna-
you're going to fucking hate yourself for that. I just know it.
Yeah.
Because I had written this thing fucking like a couple years ago. Just been through a breakup. My fucking dog was dead. I was dying, just on the ground. Just fucking everything fucking sucked. And it's just so, you know, when you're just alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some people have never experienced this, actually, to be fair. Some people are just like, I'm immediately in another relationship, or I've immediately bought another dog, or whatever, you know. But you're in like the darkest hour of your life and you're just fucking dying. I had written something on my phone that was like, I was calling these little...
50, Matthew. Thank you.
Keep interrupting. It's all good.
Holy shit, Whack.
He doesn't give a shit, dude. This is why.
When you're in the darkest place you've ever been in your life.
I was writing these things, and I think I called them like brain pressures or something like that, like pressure release or something like that, where it was like I was trying to get some stuff down. And some of them were just me journaling, and some of them were like poems. I didn't know they were poems until I read them again years later. And I found one of them for this because I was like really trying to think. I've had quite a nice year. I haven't really had a dark year this year, which is really annoying for this show because I'm not in the fucking brain space.
Brad is the only one I know that would complain about having a good year.
And so like I just wasn't in the, like it's I was thinking about this and talking about this a bit recently as well, but like when you see those amazing like you'll hear the best song ever, or you'll watch a show that is just like, God, how do these people remember, how are they perfectly equating how I felt in this moment to music? Like, how did you do that? Like, you don't remember. There's no way that you were literally in the middle of whatever the darkest moment of your life was, and then you wrote a song. Or did you? I don't know. And so then I was like, oh, I'll look at what I wrote in some of my darkest hours over the recent years. And I pulled up this fucking bit on my phone that I had written down, and I was like, oh, this is like kind of perfect, but also I don't want to just put this on the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's just so, it's like, it's too vulnerable.
Yeah, who would do that?
It's too vulnerable.
Who does shit like that? That's
I've
crazy.
never, I share a lot about what I'm thinking and feeling when I'm going through things online in like daily streams, but I don't share things like poems that I've fucking written.
I literally did that and gone. One of those like opening slides is just shit from my journal.
Well, that's what I did here.
Yeah.
And I sat there and was like, I remember writing it out and just being like, this feels weird to do. This feels so, I would honestly, I swear to God, rather just like strip naked and dance around.
Yeah,
on the webcam.
yeah. But my thought was
God,
like, no one will ever know. And then I tell all like 8 years later.
And so I was sitting there like looking at this like bit of writing I've done. This was the bit of writing on my phone.
Yeah.
This is what it was. The first part of it is like a poem, and then the second part, it was just like some like brain pressure. And I was reading this thing. This is what I wrote. You want to hear it?
Yeah. I cannot believe you have the ability to read this out loud after that preamble. You're insane.
Well, it's not.
Please continue.
It's not that big of a deal. The second paragraph in this would be way harder for me to read out on the stream. But this first bit is the bit, it went into the show. So I don't, at this point, it's too late.
Who cares? It's too late.
I wrote, my mind teeters on the edge of fear, dancing around the unthought. Without warning, it strides in. Why? I ask as my own mind takes the step headlong into the one place I dare never approach. And then I have a space. I don't know if I wrote this on a different day, but I wrote the nostalgic ache rings from the empty walls. And I was like, okay, I can use both of those. So both of those went into this. Now the first part I changed, I remixed, and I rewrote it to be the third person, because this was the beginning of episode 3 or 4, maybe 4, I think, when you first go and see the witch, I think is what I put. I wrote, and this was just me talking to Caspian, I think. In your darkest hour, do you not look for a warm helping hand? Or perhaps you feel as though you do not deserve to be rescued. As your mind teeters on the edge of fear, dancing around the unthought, without warning it strides in. Why, you ask your own mind, as your own mind takes the step, headlong into the one place you dare never approach. The nostalgic ache rings from the empty walls. You remember nothing. You remember never being alone. That is what the beginning of that episode was about. Because all of these things were little allusions to, like, allude things to Caspian.
Yeah.
As I'm saying this, the most vulnerable I've ever felt. Wax Stevens said something like, "You smells like piss." And
Piss, yeah.
I've never felt damaged like that in my entire life. It fucking hurt me so much. It was unreal. I was like, oh, I'm never doing this again. I should have muted him or something. I don't know. I fucking absolutely the most vulnerable I've ever been, and he came in and shit on me in the middle of it in front of the whole class. It hurt
Pushed you
so
over
badly.
the kid.
He pushed me over the kid.
He mirrored his memory from when he was 5.
It fucking...
How many times have you done it to me?
You've never done this. You have never started an episode with this much vulnerability. I wouldn't have done it.
No.
That is why it hurt. I didn't care.
Like, no, am I crazy? Absolutely not. I'd never do that.
First of all, I did not start the interruption war. I know I've been the most interrupter person of anyone you've ever met in your entire life over the course of knowing me. But the interruption, I interrupt everyone all the time because I'm fucking like ADHD or something. I'm like, and this and that. And then I know it's annoying, and I spend hours after every conversation I've ever had with anyone with the fucking cat o' nine tails thing, whipping myself. But the war started on non-canon when you two would do it to me every week. So don't fucking come at me as if I did this to you, either of you. The interruption thing was both of you every week during my intros for non-canon.
You know what?
But none of them hurt like this. None of them.
If ever there was a moment where Brad revealed his true self, it was his first memory of his sister being born, and then also just now when he said it was both of you, when we all know it was me. It was very kind of you to do.
No,
but we all know well, yeah, but I started it. I started it. I'm sure it was me.
The really crazy things that I wanted to touch on before we ended here was the beginning. These are the notes that I made during the show. PB episode 1 has a quicker grasp of things like an echo, which is what she is. She's an echo. River. Whack is much more childlike or caveman-like, and he's learning from her straight away. It was fucking crazy. I was the only person on the whole planet that was watching the two of you play these characters this way. PB unlocking the bond first is insane.
Yeah.
I put like some stuff in here about how the characters are all equipped for hunting and discovery. They're drawn to like search the islands nearby and stuff. So that was why like your character sheets inventories were the way they were. I'm just trying to wrap up some general questions because I know there's probably gonna be more from people in the future. River introduced a whole new way to worship the Leviathan by not locking herself to the islands and being inspired by the giant swimming worm and traveling. And when I say that, I feel like River introduced a whole new way to worship the Leviathan by introducing that the Leviathan is swimming around and we should all travel. And since River came to the Nemaskarian Islands, the islanders have been traveling out more. Now, again, we don't know in Soul Mirror when this campaign takes place. But if it was thousands and thousands of years, say, before side quest, maybe there are Nemaskerans who have traveled over to Vayfall and are like, wandering around. And it's because like hundreds and hundreds of years ago, there was this person who taught them that actually traveling was cool and a great way to worship the Leviathan. And I just think that's kind of fun that you have these changes that are made by these characters. I put that and then I have Odrin and Ospreya, the green dragon and the rider. I love this storyline, and I love the idea that the dragon was mad and infected and vengeful, that Caspian and River defeated its rider, and it's the same thing, the riders having the bond basically, and you know, River and Caspian having it. I'm so glad that we pulled the dragon out at the end. Chat, thank you very much. And then I just have like the timeline and stuff here, that Caspian and River spent about 25 years together, and I have a full timeline that I think is accurate. Do you want it?
Yeah,
Of course.
Well, River leaves home around 18, travels to around 25, and then River and Meridia meet, and they travel for around 20 years. When Meridia dies, River is around 45, Caspian is around 12 when they meet. He's around 15 when they undertake the bonding. When Caspian is 19, River is 51, which was when the show was. And then you guys travel until River is in her late 70s. And Caspian is in his early 40s. Caspian and Indralaya, Caspian is in his 60s and Indralaya is in her 20s. And I just think that's a crazy amount of time. And it's really fun to think about these journeys that they all went on and stuff. I also so badly just want like a show in the future to just like, I don't know, fucking someone shows up. You know what I mean? I don't know who. Meridia, Indralaya, fucking Caspian himself, you know? And you're just like, Caspian just walks down the street. He's 36. And you're just like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Yeah,
is
there's
that
just like
what...
this girl is walking behind him like, so what happened with like when you came here before? And he's like, well, your mother was blah, 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 you know. It's super fun to think about because a lot of time there to play with.
What the fuck? John Sandman tipped $100. The three of you on the screen are some of the most talented people I know. Love you all and cannot wait till the next time we get to jam together again.
I don't know who that is. Who is that?
John, I love you!
You ever heard of this guy? Anyone ever heard of this guy?
Miss you too, buddy.
I love you, John Sandman. I'm in love with you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Now we did unlock everything, but PB has to go right now. So we'll get to these other questions next week, I guess. When Wack
sounds good.
Slutty outfits to look at and Final
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you?
I have to. Yeah. I told you I turned into a cat girl. Right? My whole wardrobe has to change. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
No.
Mergs can't return to the stream, you know, because
She cannot. I don't know where she went.
I was gonna say because she's dressed up in the fit, you know.
Never mind, I found her.
All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wonderful job. And I know I said this a bunch of times, but you are way too hard on yourself, and the imposter syndrome should just magically go away because you do a great job every time. And I always love being on these shows, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I have something to say.
No.
Oh, are you sure?
You can.
It's real quick.
All right.
Okay. Running Tablestory with you guys is our bonding ritual. It really feels like that.
Yeah, these are the memories. They'll live forever in the hard drive that is going to be installed in our brains when we're sent to fucking into the Soma permanent existence machine. All right.
Okay.
Well,
are we going to show a thing? We're showing a thing now,
yeah,
chat.
we're showing a thing.
I'm so excited about it.
You want to introduce it?
Not at all.
Get out of here. Okay. Well, thank you everyone.
Well, wait. Okay, I do actually want. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, I don't have anything to say. It speaks for itself. But I do want to say that this teaser was split up into 4 parts and stripped of all the actual like cast names and stuff like that, and dumped in the Discord over the course of 4 weeks. And I just want to say how proud I am that everyone did scour it and figure it out. And everything that you're seeing can be found in the teaser, and they did it. So yeah, it was really, really good. Well, maybe not the title, but can't win them all, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching Unknown and for supporting the channel. We have a new show in the works for Fridays, but for a few weeks we'll do this because we often do. We'll get to these questions next week. I know that you unlocked them, and normally we could probably extend it a little bit and like bang them out, but we have a hard out tonight, and this took, I honestly thought that it would be like me being like, yeah, it was about memory, and everyone would be like, yeah, we don't care. So what about if we talk about this other thing? But it took ages to get through all of the questions, I guess. So we will answer the questions next week, or these two will. I don't know what they're doing. I'm out of here. I'm going to
Sorry, the sun just erupted.
I mean, absolutely insane reaction to the sun. What are you, a fucking vampire? That's just insane.
You're making Mergs laugh in real life, but it's fucking delayed.
Oh shit.
Insane shit.
You remember when fucking what's his name from the Mighty Boosh? What's his name? I was blanking on it right now.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. What is that quote?
No, when he fucking on IT Squad, when he walks into the
sunlight. I
no
do
Fielding.
that. Whack, I do that all the time. Yeah. I love that.
Oh shit.
So, thank you everyone for watching. We're gonna just we're gonna go ahead and show you this trailer. Oh, by the way, only one of these things was a question. I think 2 of them were my questions anyway. Actually, why am I feeling guilty? We have a question.
You want to just bang out the last one?
No, I think that this is a good topic to talk about, to be honest. It's a question from Gary about how we build NPCs, and I think it's like a solid conversation that we can have in 1 week.
Yeah.
So I'd like to answer it properly. So we'll get to that. Surreal shows and how's that build coming along were questions from me.
Perfect.
So we don't need to answer them. So let's just play this ad. And
maybe next time.
We will see you next Friday. Bye.
Well, Brad won't. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ad playing now.
Tonight we bring you the story of an American veteran who returned from service only to find his wife gone. Mrs. disappeared from her home in October of scarcely a month after her husband shipped overseas. Police reports at the time suggested the story of death with another man. Just home from a war this spring, there has come her to a house discovered in Sorrel. Multiple sources denied this her home in October of scarcely a month after her husband shipped frustration. Police reports at the time suggested she had left the other 3 years since. No trace of her has been discovered.
Breaking news out of Queens, where a deadly confrontation occurred between the police and a group of costumed Halloween revelers. The NYPD is reporting their officers encountered what they described as a rowdy crowd along the streets just after 3 a.m. Witnesses on the scene stated the group of university students were unarmed when shots rang out.
her has been discovered.